Hey, Shorties. Hey, it feels like it's been forever. Oh, Poppy says hi already. Toys everywhere. Hey, let's go. Yes, let's go. Who's in the house? Nicole on the roll. Debbie Blair. Oh my God, Poppy. Ernie Birdie. Hey, gorgeous. Emily, good to see you. Oh, colors. Hey, girl. Debbie Blair. Babe. Adam Drives Helen is here. Yes. It's good to see you. Who else have I missed? Poppy, please don't lick me. It's a whole theme. Let me see. Did I see Dawn Marie? Hey, Dawn Marie. Good to see you. Hey, so, oh my God, Buster. I got new hair stuff. I've got like full like Farrah Fawcett bangs going on. I'm pretty excited. I also feel like there's something weird going on with my background. Where is it? Adam. Where's my background? Oh my goodness. I don't need to be that full screen. Oh, that's better. Yikes, too much Shorty in my face. Nobody needs to see that much Shorty. Okay. So it's been quite a week. We have a guest, an amazing guest coming up. Why is that black? Oh my goodness, everything's changed. Oh my goodness. Poppy, goodness gracious. We don't do black. Give me a second. This is out of the blue for me. I didn't expect to have my colors all be black. Not amazing. Let me put that up there. Yikes, on the fly. You know why? You all know why, don't you? Do you know why? I don't like the black. Why is it black? Anyway, black like my heart, black like my soul, black like mostly all of my tattoos. Not Hailey Walbrecht will be joining us shortly. However, I got a few things to say first. Buster's not keen on the PSA. Not a PSA, just some of my thoughts, yeah? So I guess we're all, mostly everyone here is basically free Karen Reid, right? Just going to make sure I'm not getting messages from Jason because I forgot to send him the link until like just now. Yo, oh, Frank's in the house. Cool. Sherry Berry, good to see you all. Amy Boston. Mwah. Okay. Misadventurous Book Mouse. Yikes, everybody's here. Amazing. It's so good to see you all. Free Karen Reid. Are we anti-corruption? Yes, and yes. I'm a YouTuber. There's other YouTubers in the chat right now, yeah? Live streamers. I think we kind of know what's what. There's been some shit going down, right? I don't buy into the infighting. I'm not drama. I try to avoid drama. It sometimes follows me. Don't love it. But on this one, Poppy, please, goodness gracious. I'm trying to be all serious and professional and shit, Poppy. God damn. Hey, Megan, good to see you. Yes, you made a live. Amazing. Oh, my goodness, the dogs today. Right. Buster, I'm trying to be so serious and professional. It's a real shame, I think, to see ego and pride and, I don't know, dollars and cents getting in the way and fracturing this incredible community. Like, we're all on the same side, right? So what's doing with that? I mean, I'm not privy to what goes on behind the scenes. I'm not in that gang. I'm friendly and have participated in the chats and at times been moderators for many of the channels. I've had many of the Free Karen Reid channels as guests. James Jackson in the house. Yes, James, I'm always a professional. I try. I have one job. JFK, a guest. The Glarer, Aiden, Turtle Boy. Who else? I'm going to forget people. Like Paul Christopher, so many. Nurse Kim. Quite the back catalogue. I haven't done a series interview for a while, and I'm very much looking forward to chatting with Jason Broyles, who is now backstage. Sorry, I forgot to send you the link, Jason. Yikes. So my good friend Frank Zell, who's in the chat at the moment, has a direct lived experience back in the day when the JonBenet Ramsey case broke. Frank Zell, and if you haven't seen my series on the Zell brothers, I have a 5-part series with Frank and Jim, his twin brother. They were investigating on their own, just being amazing men who were suspicious about what was being put out to the public regarding JonBenet Ramsey in Boulder, Colorado, back in 1996, 97, and they've been on that case and uncovered an amazing lot of contradictory stuff to what the tropes are about the JonBenet Ramsey murder. However, Frank Zell warned me months ago that the Free Karen Read movement had the propensity to start turning in on itself, yeah? That the voices, the spokespeople, the ones who we all spend our time with, for whatever reason, as per back in the day with the chat rooms and in the JonBenet Ramsey following movement, whatever it was back then, it turned in on itself. The head started eating the tail, yeah? Ego, pride, vested interests, dying on hills on things people believe, butthurt about things being misspoken and misheard and misrepresented. YouTube wasn't around then. It is now. There's a lot of money. A lot. Like, don't get me wrong. I love super chats. Love. I don't make a huge amount. But some of the creators who rightfully were outraged and broadcast as such throughout the trial and since have made an exceptional amount of money. Phenomenal. And they deserve it. They worked hard. They still work hard. They have they're great entertainment. They have insights. They have knowledge. They have passion. They have drive. They have a shared and common goal. I don't like to see, but I'm not surprised to see what shit's been going down on Twitter, on YouTube, and God knows where else. I don't have time to scroll. I watch trials. I'm not right in the thick of all of that. I know Jason is in the thick of all of that, so he's nodding backstage. He can probably speak to it. All that to say, we're on the same side. How about we all just put away the dicks? Dick swing competitions don't help anybody. Calm the fuck down and let's regroup, refocus, and keep eyes on the prize, yeah? It's bigger than all of us. It's bigger than the egos. It's bigger than the dollars and cents. And if honestly, the creators are in it and just like milking the cash cow, I mean, that's on you. We're all insightful folks, yeah? We can see through that bullshit. I mean, I could have easily asked Jason, not Hailey Walbrecht, to come on tonight and talk Free Karen Read because that's where the views are. That's where the money is. Not big money for me because I don't have the numbers, but big views, clicks and views, analytics. But I want to talk to Jason about something else, which is very dear to my heart. And from what I understand, very dear to Jason's heart. We both have very strong lived experience about being and parenting neurodivergent children, being a neurodivergent adult. I don't want to speak for Jason. So careful where you put your money. If you're still loving the vibe of all of that, give those creators your money. This is not a cash grab. I'm just saying, be mindful where you're putting your attention and your energy. Because what do we want to fuel that stuff? Or do we want to like rise above? Rise above for me. Anyway, that's that. It's like my black logoing, my black branding very much is on brand for my PSA rant. I'm going to cleanse the palate with a Turd Ferguson song. Don't worry, Turd, it's not the Plevin one. Enjoy, and then I will bring our friend Jason Broyles, not Hailey Walbrecht, up on stage, and we can get going with some really cool conversation.
I ain't a man man of violent ways. My strategy is apathy. No arguing, no fights. Just love and empathy. Time fades, the fire's light. Apathy can be your answer. No need to join the fight. 'Cause both sides are wrong and both sides are right. Give it a try and see. Give it a day to confirm. In a year it's clear. Think about the long term. This world is full of chaos. It can make emotions boil. Reacting makes it worse. Igniting discord and turmoil. I ain't a man of violent ways. Not a man of violent ways. My strategy is apathy. No arguing, no fights. Just love and empathy. Time fades, the fire's light. Just relax, don't get cross. Purge all bad emotions. Be at peace, ease your thoughts, and mind your compassion. Apathy may be the answer. There ain't no need to fight. 'Cause both sides are wrong and both sides are right. Fights are a ruse, an endless game. There is nothing to lose and nothing to gain. This world is full of chaos. It can make emotions boil. Reacting makes it worse. Igniting scorn and turmoil. Boil. I ain't a man of violent ways. Not a man of violent ways. My strategy is apathy. No arguing, no fights. Just love and empathy. Time fades, the fire's light. Protecting people that I love. Trusting only a few. Laying my life down. 'Cause that is what I need to do.
Palette cleanser. What? Thank you, Purd. Amazing song. Whenever I'm feeling a little bit down, a little bit conflicted, a little bit drawn into interpersonal relationship drama shit, affected by it, instigating it, God forbid, I put that on and everything is good again. She's an amazing songwriter, our Turd Ferguson, and that's a knee slapper. Without further ado, oh, wait. Thank you, Megan, for gifting a Miss Shorty membership. Hi, Poppy. Yay. Without further ado, and thank you for suffering through my rant, Jason. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello, hello. You've put yourself up against a brick wall here, Jason.
I have, yeah. I think it was in honor of Pink Floyd, Another Brick in the Wall. I just tried to do my Australian theme there.
Ah, lovely. How are you this fine Friday evening, early evening?
I'm doing great, and I'm happy to be here. I really actually appreciate your rant in the beginning, because I do think, while our topic is something else tonight, I do want to quickly address the fact that I'm in kind of a unique position in this situation. Obviously, I was on Sean's show on Monday, and I was sitting in the waiting room when all of that occurred, and I certainly wasn't prepared for that and didn't know that it was coming. And I guess I'll kind of just reiterate what I said there, which is I'm never going to tell my friends who to be friends with. And that's something that I learned kind of very early on in this thing. But I was part of another case. I talked about it briefly on Aussie Insider. I was part of another case where we had this phenomenon that there was this large YouTuber with a large following, and it was a case within a case. So like here we have the Turtle Boy situation. with Kate Peter becoming the spokesperson for the other side. And we have this completely separate drama that's kind of attached itself to the Karen Reed trial. And I hate to say it, but I felt at home there because I was in another case that was exactly the same way, with the exception that in that case, the defendant was also the YouTuber in a large essay trial.
Mm-hmm.
And that had the same effect where you have kind of these groups of people got into these camps and they attacked each other. And that's what we see here. I actually kind of hate the concept of the us versus them, that it's the free Karen Reed versus the antis, because I think everybody should get to make up their mind. Some people are Turtle Boy fans, some people aren't. Some people, even people who believe that Karen Reed is innocent, some of them don't like Turtle Boy, some of them don't like Sean, some of them, I think as viewers, and I consider myself a spectator as much as everybody else, I think that it's important that we don't always try to take sides or get involved in every one of those battles. Because I think that's what I was seeing over the last 2 days, is that you had this kind of dynamic that was happening. Sean felt passionate about calling things out, and there was a little bit of back and forth. And suddenly there was people kind of like poking, and they were in there and they were doing all of this stuff. And frankly, the people that were doing the poking have no idea what's happening. They only know the surface of what they see. But behind the scenes, you're right, I wouldn't even put egos at the top of this. There are people that have different sources with different stories, and those are competing with each other. And then it becomes a kind of a battle of credibility to who has the most reliable source. And that kind of lends to this infighting that we see. But the truth of the matter is I'm friends with many of the people that were mentioned in that rant. And like I said to Sean, I disagree with you on those topics, but let's focus on something. The topic in that happened to be Yellow Cottage Tales. And I said, let's focus on the fact that we came here and we agree on this topic. So let's talk about that.
Yes.
So I guess I really appreciate your kind of give peace a chance message, because I think that's what everyone needs to do, is they need to step back and realize that, sometimes we just need to kind of watch what's happening and let it play out in a way that's working. And we saw amazing things this week. Karen Reed came into Turtle Boy's chat.
I wish I was there. Damn it.
and was participating and leaving comments. And I think ultimately at the end of the day, we're probably all a little bit better off for it, because we got that direct contact where Karen was answering questions and kind of reacting live to some of the Vanity Fair article, which was excellent. So I'm happy that happened.
Can I was talking to Turd Ferguson and Melissa, her name is, offline, and one of my moderators and good friends, and I sort of said, not only is it good for us, the people who've been so invested for whatever reason in this whole thing, and for however long, whether you're a newcomer, whether you've been there since the first news story was on Boston NBC, or anything in between. She's been so sequestered away from everybody for whatever. For no doubt, her attorneys have kind of suggested she stay away, keep that glass wall between. I can't imagine that would be a very lonely place for Karen to have been. And I know she interacts with people at the standouts, and is, by all accounts, it's an unwavering retelling that she's always so friendly and accessible and lovely. But for her to be able to actually engage in like this action, the chat action, can only help for her to feel more connected with us. Not just, it works both ways. And I think that's an amazing thing for her, continuing with this whole thing.
You made a comment in the introduction as well, where you were talking about that I might be more tuned into some of that drama that's going on. And one of my favorite parts actually about today, but also about the first time when I randomly popped into Aussie Insider's chat, was that we really had I very rarely get the ability to talk about anything other than the drama. Like a lot of the times I get because a lot of what I write is about the players and not necessarily the overarching story. So I write a lot about the Turtle Boy case and not as much about the Karen Reed case these days, because it just happens to be that I have a lot of sources and a lot of information on that topic. But I really loved that on that first Aussie Insider hit that I did, I was able to talk about the Karen Reed case. And I really love today that we're talking about neurodivergence and ADHD, because I have a lot to say on a lot of different things. And sometimes I get kind of pigeonholed into that. Oh, you're the guy that's got the inside scoop or the drama on this and what's going on there. And I definitely do. But I also like to talk about some of these other things.
I'm the same, Jason. My channel was born out of having these kind of conversations. I was originally going to do a podcast, and then when I started becoming involved in YouTube communities, chat communities, I realized that YouTube, the intimacy and immediacy, like the interaction, was so much more accessible to do YouTube. But so and my all I do is watch trials, and not even true crime. I'm a law nerd and a trial watcher, and then adjacent stuff to that. So my favorite streams, it's a buzz and fun doing anything to do with Karen Reed trial. I've loved interviewing the creators who have represented the Free Karen Reed movement on YouTube and in society and social media. But I feel like I've copped a little bit of icing out from some of those creators because I haven't stayed Free Karen Reed. My content is more diverse than that. And you know what? I'm over in Australia, so maybe it's geographic as well. Maybe it's because I'm a female in a very male-dominated arena in that thing, which is interesting given that true crime is usually very female-dominated. And I guess our chats represent that, usually, our viewership. So I love talking about things. My brain needs more than just one blindfold, blinkered, laser vision thing. I still very much care for and am passionate about what's going on with Karen Reed and Officer John O'Keefe and that injustice there, and then Massachusetts. But there's more out there, so we can talk about more and still have that same level of care. So I guess I just wanted to put that out there in case anyone was thinking, why does she do other stuff? She should just be Free Karen Reed. I'm like, well, I don't want to beat a dead horse. Like that's an awful metaphor, but I don't want to stream on that for streaming's sake. What for clicks and views doesn't sit well with me. So in your discussion, I can't remember whether it was the first when you impromptu popped into Oz Insiders live when they were having the whistleblower episode, or whether it was the next night, whether you talked about you having a neurodivergent child, and you mentioned your own ADHD. And when I saw that you were suddenly accessible, and I've wanted to approach you to come on my channel for a long time, but I didn't want to know. I didn't want to put, as in you, I didn't want to break your cover, but your cover's blown now. So here we are. And then for me, once I heard you talking about that, I was like, this is amazing. This Jason is so insightful, so articulate, so passionate about so many things that here we are. So tell us a little bit about your lived experience with neurodivergence. Was it the chicken or the egg? Was it your child or children, or was it you?
I was actually diagnosed with ADHD as an adult. So I don't think I realized the ties. I actually have, and I do have a child who is on the spectrum, and she'll tell you she's artistic, not autistic. And when we did the whole early intervention thing, she wasn't developing, there didn't have we thought she was deaf, which is so common in kids who are on the spectrum, because I see Amy Boston's comment here, and I couldn't agree more. But we see this idea of, oh, she's not listening. So we think that she's deaf. So you take them, and I'll never forget kind of our first medical experience was taking her to the doctor, and they did the bear hearing test, and they have to take sedation, and you could not give her medicine for anything. If you tried to give her any kind of oral medicine, especially for the bear test, the sedation was almost like a cough syrup type medicine. Oh. And she was crying and spitting it out, and I knew that she didn't get a good dose of the medication. So during the test, I happened to be observing from a room, and they're playing different sounds, and they're measuring the brain waves in response to the sounds. And I saw her kind of roll over and pull the earphones off on one side. And when we got the results reflected this hearing loss on one side. And I was so adamant to ask the doctor to talk to me about if the results changed at any point during the test versus just the overall results, because I remembered very clearly the earphone kind of coming off her head, and the tech kind of came in and just put it to the side. And the doctor, I'm not here to out anybody. This was, over 20 years ago. And the doctor had said, no, she has this hearing loss. We're going to schedule her for surgery and we're going to put tubes in her ear. And I said, well, hang on a minute. Like, this happened during the test, and I'd like to make sure that she actually has a hearing problem and we can't put tubes in her ear. And the entire time she was on the spectrum, she needed early intervention. She needed these things. She doesn't have any hearing issues at all. And so we were really, really close to being in this spot where my daughter ended up with surgery and having tubes put in her ears for no reason. And I literally had to stand up and take my daughter and walk out of the doctor's office while he was arguing with me. And so for me, it was kind of an eye-opening moment on kind of this larger scale about being an advocate for yourself and for your kids and medical issues in general, where you really, really have to pay attention, because it's very easy, especially with kids on the spectrum, for things to be misdiagnosed or to have the wrong result from test or different things. You have to look at all the factors. And that was kind of my entry, because we didn't know my daughter was on the spectrum. We didn't know she was neurodivergent. And that was my entry into saying, oh, pay attention, because there's something really special about her, and she's unique, and we're going to have to find a way to make sure that we express that along the way.
Sure. So then what did the process look after that? How medically, the diagnostic process?
Well, we once we figured out that wasn't the case, we were doing some more reading, and we kind of you start to know, because other things are occurring at the same time, where you can see different kind of stimulation as having different effects, which is how we knew to question the diagnosis of the hearing loss, because we said, well, it's hearing loss, but it seems to be like selective hearing loss. She engages with what stimulates her, and she doesn't engage with, maybe mom or dad saying, hey, come over here. So we were able to, I think we just got lucky in that we knew some other parents and we're talking to them. We were able to really kind of go back, who had a really good pediatrician, and we were able to go back and say, okay, there's something more going on. Once we left that hearing doctor and went back to the pediatrician with the results of the bear test and with kind of my testimony of what happened during the thing, right away our pediatrician was like, thank you, we'll take what you said and we'll rule out this being a hearing issue. We'll start to pursue these other avenues. And that's how we kind of proceeded. We got really lucky with a placement in a preschool that did, it was loaded. It was about 50% kids that were either neurodivergent or had learning disabilities or were otherwise impacted, and about 50% peers, which was a really neat mix, because right off the bat, they did this kind of interaction with the kids where, honestly, if you ask the kids, they were all just kids. They were all normal. And it was a really nice environment for her to kind of express herself and be able to kind of grow without, it really was stigma free, which was, I'm sure that word is going to come up many times today, because it even happens to me as an adult with ADHD, but it really was a very supportive environment that we're able to go into, and we just kind of stepped through after that. So they started doing the scales and asking questions and observational scales from the parents, and we were able to finally figure out what was wrong.
Sure. Yes, stigma is a huge thing, isn't it? Stigma and misinformation, the tropes of it all, really, isn't it? It's very frustrating. Hate is a strong word, but I can't stand the, oh, look, a squirrel thing about ADHD, because I am highly focused, and I'm sure you are too, and many people in the chat who have ADHD, highly focused on the things that interest me. In fact, so hyper focused that to the detriment of going to the bathroom, remembering to drink water, remembering to eat, to take a break, to get proper sleep.
That all sounds very familiar, and that is I definitely am afflicted with the hyper focus variety. So for me, there is this kind of um, it will be to the detriment. I had a list of important things to do this week, and I did some of them. I was able to get some of them done, but I will get into the zone where I will hyper focus on something that probably isn't important, but it will become kind of my thing. So it's not just this lack of attention. It's actually the opposite. It really is this kind of drilling down into the minutia of a topic that may not even be important, or it may not be high in the priority list, but my brain is going to kind of decide that this is the detour we're going to take. And there we go.
I call that productive procrastination, Jason. It's
Yeah.
you're doing something very productive. It's not what you should be doing. So you're procrastinating ostensibly on what you should be doing, but you're doing something. It's just maybe not the top of the list on what you
Right.
need to be doing. The triage is all out there sometimes, right? I saw Amy said there are inattentive and non-attentive ADHD. I have a mixture. There's actually 7 types of ADHD. I should have brought that up on. I could grab it, but I personally have the one that's called Ring of Fire ADHD, which is when they do the brain scan. In my brain is just a ring of red. Can attest. My head, I liken what's inside my brain to, I'm sure they still do it, but the magic trick of tall poles with plates spinning, all of them spinning all the time. I've always got a music track going. I've always got personal thoughts, rumination. I've got what's going on around me. My brain takes in everything, and I'm aware of everything. My propensity to overstimulation and sensory overload is off the charts because I notice and register almost everything. How do you go with sensory inputs, Jason?
No, actually, it sounds very similar to what I have. I was actually doing kind of in the run up to this show. I was doing a lot of research on kind of I had a unique experience a couple of weeks ago. For some reason, I've been very busy since people have tried to cancel me. I've gotten busier and busier. And one of the things that I do is I do audiovisual work in terms of everything from producing concerts, which I'll be doing next week, which is why I'm going to be traveling starting tomorrow, to working on theater productions and doing other things along that. And I happened to do this one-man show that was about the brain recently. And
Yes.
it was an amazing show. I'm not going to plug it right now because I don't want the creator to get any hate at the moment, but it was an amazing show, and they really talked about kind of the neural pathways in the brain. And I think a lot of people don't understand that a lot of ADHD is actually because people have neural pathways that are wide open. They're more open than closed. So, and
all the time.
And in a lot of conditions where people are saying, okay, we have these neural pathways and, oh, there must be a blockage. No, it's the opposite. Like, if there were a blockage, we would probably would be able to kind of regulate the activity a little bit better. But now it's this. So this constant need for overstimulation is probably because our pathways are wide open and our brain is basically getting bored.
Yes. I find the best way for me to stay, because I work, as you know, Jason, I tagged you back when I wasn't sure whether you were Hailey or Jason, no, male or female, and quite frankly, didn't care either way. Respected your anonymity, but I posted Jason in a week of tweets of showing my matching work socks with I work in traffic control. So I wear high vis, and it has to be a certain uniform. But the one flexibility I have is to have matching socks and high vis shirt. And so it was a whole thing. And Jason, Hailey then quite enjoyed the outfit of the day tagging, I felt. But in my job, I find myself best able to focus and concentrate and stay on what I'm doing when I've got always something in my ear. I'm always listening. If I don't have that brain stimulation, I find my mind wanders. That having something for one of my tracks, one of my spinning plates in my head to focus on, means I can better focus on my it's highly dangerous, highly risky, highly vigilance for 8, 9, 10, 12 hours a shift. So do you find you work best with background stuff, additional stuff?
I definitely do. I'm always listening to a podcast or listening to music. I drive and listen to YouTube videos, even ones that are like kind of live action things. So if they're maybe they're like body camera videos from the police or doing things like that, I listen to that in the background. I love those actually because there's always a lot going on. But I guess that's how I describe it, where I need to distract myself in order to focus.
Yes.
And that is so it's I constantly have other things happening at the same time. Like you can't see,
Yes.
but up here to the right, I have a screen where I have about 4 or 5 tabs open that I will glance up to and do different things while I'm in the middle of this conversation. My cell phone is over here on my left, and someone's leaving me a voicemail, and I'm watching to see while I'm talking to you if the words are going to play out while they leave the voicemail. If I'm going to see the voice to text, there's this constantly things are happening around me in the same way. I'm observing all of that, but allowing me to do that allows me to talk about the neural pathways in your brain because I'm actually focusing on my topic, and all of my other distraction centers are they're being put
Occupied.
to use. They're
Yes,
occupied.
yes. That's a really great way to describe it. And actually, I feel like, let me see if I can find the one. Okay, so I've got something to share. Share screen. Everything I put up on, there's some links in the description box. Chat. This is for you guys, y'all, shorties. If you're interested in anything, I've neurodivergence and sleep, neurodivergence and trauma, neurodivergence and relationship sort of failing, friendships, not necessarily romantic or intimate partner relationships. And then this one here, which I think is pertinent to what we're talking about, why neurodivergent people may be prone to an overactive mind. So all of these that we may or may not talk about, but they're all linked in the description box. But Jason, let me just pull up this one. We can have a little bit of a scroll through. I've very briefly previewed them, which is very me to just fly by the seat of my pants. No, not that one, this one, share. So Chad, if you are more of a person who needs to see this, if you have 2 devices, you could pull this up. The link is in the description box. And if you're someone who sorry, I better scroll back to the top. If you're someone who wants to listen, we'll talk through it a little bit. This is just blind on Jason. I did give him the heads up that I wanted to talk about these few things if we get to it, but this is a good time here. So I'll just scroll. So the hamster wheel metaphor is used to describe a state of mind that is consumed by repetitive, obsessive, or negative thoughts that can be tiring or overwhelming. Yes, and maybe not the negative thing, but it is tiring and overwhelming to have your brain always running, right, Jason?
Yes, for sure.
I
don't know that I have we talk about all the things that are linked together, and there's a link between OCD, there's a link between there's kind of all these other. I feel like it's one spectrum, and you look at the autistic spectrum and people say, okay, you have Asperger's out of one end of the spectrum and kind of full-blown autism on the other end of the spectrum, and I think it's a larger spectrum than they give credit for.
Absolutely.
And so we have these other things like OCD. I don't have repetitive thoughts. I have a million disjointed different thoughts. So I don't, even though I hyper focus on a task or on something that I'm paying attention on, when it comes to kind of the anxiety part where your brain is sitting there worried, I don't worry about the same thing over and over. I wish I did, because instead I worry about everything at once. So you have all of these.
I've mentioned this before in one of my other neurodivergent streams. I think I've just done solo streams 2 in the past already. They're in my Let's Talk playlist. I'm yet to break that up into smaller, more palatable segments of per topic. But the way I liken most, so traditional, like true OCD is fueled by a sense of danger and dread, and or basically it's a negative thing. So if I don't do X, Y, and Z, or if the rumination and the thoughts in my mind, if I don't go through those certain processes or use the certain routine or steps or whatever your true OCD is, then something bad will happen. Like it's a preventative thing. Yeah, it's to stave off the feeling of imminent danger. And I'm sure people could not necessarily like, if I don't do this, the house will burn down. That's an extreme. You know, if I check the stove 400 times to make sure it's off. I'm talking more about things that are driven by a sense of kind of like discomfort. Whereas to my mind, the neurodivergent propensity to OCD, and of course there can be overlap, comorbidity, is driven by a sense of comfort. So most people with those OCD tendencies who are neurodivergents do those things because it gives them a sense of comfort to do routine. I'm autistic and ADHD. For me to do things a certain way in a certain order at certain times of the day, every time, makes me feel like I'm in control and things are as they should be. It gives me a sense of comfort. So I think that's an important distinction to make with OCD. Like, oh, I'm so OCD. And people need to be careful throwing that shit out, because people with true OCD, it's life destroying. You know, it's they'd rather, I don't know, but I've heard it's almost they would rather not be alive than have to live through those compulsions which rule their lives. And so me, I get a lot of comfort from doing repetitive things in reliably, unwaveringly. What do you think about that, Jason?
Well, I do think it's interesting that you brought that up, because with a lot of this neurodivergence, there is generally, you talk about people that have SI or suicidal ideation, and it's generally 100% more. So it's double your risk of having, not necessarily actually attempting or doing things like that, but having those feelings, or at least seriously considering whether you'd be better off alive or better off not. It's double for people who are neurodivergent or on the ADHD or on the spectrum in some way. So it really is a significant feeling, and that's not just OCD. So when you add in those people who actually have those, basically the terror associated with breaking a routine or not doing the repetitive tasks, which is also very common in autistic individuals, it's a real concern.
I think the other thing with those statistics, Jason, is that it's fucking hard to be a neurodivergent person in a neurotypical world when all the systems and infrastructure, everything, the work, school, social expectations, what culture, Western culture is deemed to be acceptable and unacceptable in terms of how human interactions, all those things make for a highly stressful and eventually overwhelming and potentially clinically depressing sort of existence, because you're pushing shit uphill just trying to exist in a world where people like you, I'm someone who very easily becomes overwhelmed by things. I can manage a whole lot, and then there's this tipping point where suddenly I'm into paralysis and I shut down. But the expectations that people who don't experience that sense of overwhelm in life, often the stigma, again, there it is that why can't you do X, Y, and Z? Everybody else does that. Everybody's got the same number of hours in the day. Yeah, well, my brain's different. And I think that's very frustrating and can lead to anxiety, because the expectations are on us to be like the people. And I'm not. My brain is different.
No, and I feel the same way. And when you come into this, I say I was diagnosed as an adult because when I was young, ADHD was just bad behavior, right? So it was literally, you were just considered someone who didn't behave and couldn't bring yourself around to following the rules and behaving, and you just needed to be punished. I mean, that was really how things were looked at back then. And as I started to get older and I had kids fairly young, and then it started to become a little bit more understood that, hey, actually there's something there's something going on here. This isn't just bad behavior. I think I had some bad behavior too. Don't get me wrong. Like, I think it was mixed in, but that's not, but that's not all it was. And there was really something going on. And when I got diagnosed as an adult, it really was such a relief. I think I cried. I'm to be quite serious, because it was, oh, you know, I'm sorry, I just have one more point. One of the things is
No, make all the points.
I was, one of the things that people kind of lay on you when you have this is, a lot of people with ADHD or other neurodivergence have kind of this, I also call it my superpower, right? Because you have this intelligence that's different than other people. You have all of this stuff, but what that gets boiled down into is people saying, wow, you're so smart at this, or you're good at this, and you have this, all of this potential. They're really talking about is, oh, you're not reaching your potential, right? So you hear this over
Jason,
and over.
you're speaking to my heart.
I know. So for me, I go to counseling once a week. I go and I talk to somebody about how to feel about that, because for me, I now have this, I stigmatize myself in a way that I have this constant need to be effective. Like, whatever I'm doing, if it's not effective, I have this negative emotional response. So I literally beat myself up about it, where I'm famous. I'm Twitter infamous on saying, I'm working on this story and you're going to get this today. And then it'll be 2 days later and people will be like, hey, we've been waiting for 3 days. Like, where is your story?
The pressure is real. I feel you. Yes.
And a lot of it is, it's because I'm getting information that's coming so fast, and I get new information as I'm going along. Every time I'm ready to publish, I learn something new and I want to include it. But the other part of that is, like, when people start getting on me, like, why haven't you published this yet? It just triggers that response in me where I'm like, oh no, I'm not being effective.
And I'm not good enough. I'm not reaching my potential. That's in some of my darkest times, which these days are few and far between. But when I'm feeling overwhelmed and feeling frustrated, my one of the things I do go to is that, what a waste of a life. I mean, I'm 50 next year, so it's not a waste of a life. I'm what, 2/3, maybe not even through my life. But knowing all the things that I feel like I could have been, this is me paraphrasing myself. I don't actually necessarily think this. And what a waste. And I'm adopted, and I have very, very high achieving adoptive parents. Quite narcissistic tendencies.
There's another
Anyway.
word we have to watch out for, but
Yes, exactly. But no, but so high expectations, narcissistic tendencies, very cold and aloof people. I'm an extreme empath. They're not so much. They don't do so much feeling. They're very logical science. And I, it's hard to. I'm not actually diagnosed. I'm self-identifying, self-diagnosed. And for me, like you said, when you were diagnosed, and it was suddenly like, like you cried with the relief of having some answers. I remember when all the puzzle pieces, that analogy, fell into place. It was like, for me, all the wild, random dots of my life, which just didn't make sense. And I was getting to a point where I was like, what the fuck is wrong with me? There's something wrong with my brain, because I can't do what other people can do. Why am I a non-coper? That's one of my mother's terms. Lovely. Why am I a non-coper? And when I finally had the realization that there's nothing wrong with my brain, it's just different. And to then suddenly all those random dots of my life, which were like, what the fuck? Like, just that was the most predictable thing about my life, has been, what the fuck? Why did that fail? Why didn't I continue applying myself to that? Why did that relationship and that friendship, what happened? Suddenly all those random dots became a complete picture. And that for me was it was about 5 years ago, almost about 5 years ago. Suddenly everything makes sense, and I don't beat myself up, or I almost never beat myself up anymore, except for those moments. You have those moments.
I totally appreciate that. And I think for me, things changed when I had cancer. It's kind of, nothing quite forces your perspective like that. And initially they thought I had pancreatic cancer. The best way to tell somebody that they have non-Hodgkin's lymphoma is to first, earlier that day, tell them that they have pancreatic cancer. Because when you get the news that you have non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, it's like, wow, you basically told me this morning that I'm going to die. And now you told me, oh, good news, you have non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and we beat that every day. So it really was kind of the shock factor of that led me to look at my life and kind of evaluate what success meant differently. So now one of the things I love when they tried to cancel me from the production stuff that I do, because I literally work with my childhood best friends, because I've gotten to a point in my life where I've said, I'm going to find a way to be able to make enough money. I mean, we all are ruled by the unholy dollar. I've never cared much about it, but I've always had to make enough. Right.
Yes.
And so I said, I'm going to make enough money, but I'm going to do more of the things that fulfill me. And that's going to be my new measure of success. So a lot of what I'm doing right now in terms of being here and writing, I love to write. I've loved to write for years and years and years. I write music. I write any type of creative endeavor in terms of making something that involves writing and expressing ideas is super important to me. So that's why you see me here now doing what I'm doing, and I'm writing on Twitter and I'm doing these things. I found it again because I wrote a blog when I had cancer in order to give people updates. So this whole concept of reframing what success looks like has led me to be a much happier person and a much happier place.
Yes, I agree with that. And being kind to yourself too. Once you understand or start to understand and learn about I don't want to say limitations, just the realities of a neurodivergent brain and your own, and everybody's different. There's no one, the only common thing about an autistic or a neurodivergent person is that they're neurodivergent, like we're all so different. We have our own set of everything. But once you start to understand the ebb and flow of your own brain, you can start to sort of steer that ship of your well-being, your happiness, and how you see yourself and your life and your world in a much, like, knowledge is power. It's very empowering to understand yourself. I think makes such a huge difference to how you experience your life.
I think so too. And I think one of the things I think I've always been, although people may not believe this by some of my writing on Twitter, I think I've always been kind of a non-judgmental person. So in terms of, I've never been saddled by this concept of race or gender or any of these things that basically serve as tools that people use to divide us, right? So you have all of these kind of immutable characteristics, and I'll even go beyond that into like your political philosophies or beliefs or whatever else. Like there are all these things that people use to kind of split us up, and I feel like I'm immune to all of that. I can operate in the boardroom, and I can operate in the bar room, and I can operate. I've never had a problem walking through a ghetto. I've never had a problem doing these different things because I really try to relate to everybody in a way that I just have never thought that I'm better than anybody else. And I never have thought that anyone's better than me. So I've just kind of always had this outlook of like differences are interesting to me. So that's when we talk about the stimulation, I'm stimulated by meeting new, interesting, different people. The worst thing you could do is put me into a room where everybody is a carbon copy. I love Taylor Swift, but you look at the Swifties and they're all blonde, they're all this size, they all of these things. Like, I don't like this whole concept of carbon copies. I want to know I really want people to express their differences, because that's what kind of makes us all interesting.
Absolutely. One of my favorite things is, and it's true, is I celebrate difference. What a boring place the world would be if we were all the same, we all thought the same, we all agreed on the same things. Ugh, no, thank you. I love sort of stimulating discourse. I do also, if I'm going to be honest though, there are times, real talk, where I do have this sense of, sometimes I feel like, and I catch myself in it, I'm like, oh my God, there's this feeling of sometimes of superiority. Sometimes I think that I am like, I can't believe I'm saying this live. Like there are times when I have to catch myself because I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm so smart and you're all so stupid. And then I'm like, no, calm down, like get off your like internal high horse. And I bring myself back down. So I guess being aware of those things is being human, right?
I think that happens to all of us. And I mean, like I said, if people who read my Twitter writing are like, one of your favorite words is moron. Like you call everyone a moron, or you talk about how people are low IQ or they're doing this. So I think we all do that. But I just want to say now, if anyone listening, if I've called you a moron, it really is just kind of my go-to insult, but it really just means that you haven't been interesting enough for me yet to want to get to know any more about you. So
Yes.
like, that's how I feel about that. If I'm calling you a moron, it just means that you haven't piqued my curiosity to get me past that initial, I don't care what you have to say moment. And it is, again, where I talk about wanting people to be different. If you are literally just in an echo chamber and you're just going to follow, like you're going to, there's one woman, I'm not going to name her, but I recently have been interacting with her. She follows Yellow Cottage Tales. And every time he posts something, she adores it and lavishes all kinds of praise. And every time you call him out, she's the first one in the comment section to come back and talk against you. And I say to myself, like, can't you see this obvious stuff that all of us see? And my first instinct is to call them stupid. I don't really think you're stupid, but I do think that you are being disingenuous, and like, because you have to, people with eyes can see what's happening in front of them, and you can see when somebody's being overly complimentary. And I don't even like it when people do it to me. So if we're in the people sometimes in the chats, and I'm not calling anybody out for this, but people will say I'm a hero. No, I'm just a person. Like, I'm a person like you, and trust me, I have my flaws. I could give you a very long list of them, but my wife has asked me not to. But I could. She hasn't really. But I'm just a person, and I'm just a person that ultimately is trying to navigate my way through all of this too. And I want to do it in such a way that I'm helping people. And the only time that I really kind of abandon my principles is when I see people who are actively trying to hurt people, because that brings out the other side of me where I say, okay, like now my job is to get in the way of that, to stand in between you and that person, to take the attacks myself. I'm very well known to do that. And I'm going to hit back, because that's where I see all of this not being judgmental about. And there are people on the other side. I'm not going to out them. They may not tell you, but there are people on the other side that I will reach out to and try and help if I hear something about their circumstances, or if they're a victim in one of the areas that pique my interest, like SA or DV. I will do whatever I can do to reach out and help people. The only thing that will get me to be your enemy is if you're doing things to actively hurt people, in which case I'm going to step in every time.
Absolutely. I don't know about you, Jason, but I've always kind of been the voice of the people. I always feel like I have the ability and the power to and the languaging to be able to, she says, stumbling over her words, to be able to speak on behalf of other people who maybe don't feel sort of assertive or empowered or able emotionally or whatever, to say what needs to be said. And sometimes you just need to get in there and say the things that nobody else wants to say, right? And I guess that's exactly. On Twitter, I don't engage with the trolls. My energy is precious to me, and I'm like a sponge to that shit. So I just use my mute and my block button enough. But there's been a couple of times where I think it was Aussie Insider, they were coming after her and her GoFundMe or similar crowdfunding for her tiny home thing that her children had set up, and they were doxing her and actively going, and like, that's it for me. I went in there and I rallied. I have not a huge following. I think probably back then it was about 1,000 followers on Twitter, but it's enough. And basically got everybody to go in and report the main account that was doing it. I can't even remember who it was. And I mean, they just make another one, but sometimes the injustice or the treatment of another person is so wildly unacceptable. You've just got to go in and fight. Yeah.
Well, and for me, it's always about it was very convenient to be Hailey, right? Because Hailey is a fictional character. So people would say the worst things about Hailey. And I'm just like, That's not even me. I don't care. You know what I mean? So they're out there and they're attacking Hailey. Hailey's a slut, or Hailey's this, or Hailey's that. I'm just like, great. I'm not Hailey. So like, I'm not personally affected by this, but I'm generally not personally affected by it anyway. In order to offend me, I have to have already respected you, you know?
Yes.
But this comment here is 100% where I was going on this. I have no problem like with people attacking me. It doesn't even make me feel, I generally don't get mad. It doesn't make me feel bad. Like, you're never going to get me by coming after me. But when people go after other people, and I see that, I actually think this has, I saw a statistic. I don't know where I can pull it up, but I saw it, but I had this whole conversation with somebody the other day, unrelated to coming on your show, where they talked to me about this sense of justice actually being a trait of ADHD or
Yes.
neurodivergence, where you have
Yes.
this.
Yes.
And for me, I look back and I look at kind of talking about American history, and I look at the founding, where these people who had everything to lose just like kept standing up. And I feel that like it's to me, it's not a, you know, I think in today's society, we have this thing where people are like, mind your own business, don't get involved, don't do this thing. I'm the opposite. I am getting involved. If I see something happening in my neighborhood, I'm getting involved. If I see something happening somewhere, if there is an injustice afoot, I'm the guy that you want there, because I don't care. I don't care how it reflects on me per se. I'm going to step into the fight every single time, because I can't have it. Even when it's things that are, even if I have to stand up for people that I traditionally don't like, or don't agree with any of these things. Turd, I am not Hailey Walbrecht.
Yes. I think I remember when I was doing when I thought, hang on a second, I think I'm autistic. This could be the thing. And I found very quickly I think it was about a 20 or maybe more checklist of for adult female ADHD self-assessment checklist. And I remember I think I strongly agreed, or whatever the scale was, with basically all of the questions. But I remember one that stood out to me very, very significantly was that sense of injustice, and that autistic people and neurodivergent people, it was specifically autistic, but that neurodivergent people tend to have that sense of wanting and needing justice, and being outraged and spurned to action by injustices. It's a common trait. The other thing was that not being able to fathom, and I can more now, but true evil in the world, because I mean there are awful neurodivergent people and there are awful neurotypical people, but I used to not a naivety, but I just couldn't reconcile that people did truly evil things, and that there were truly evil people in the world with no moral compass and no sense of conscience. Interesting.
It is interesting. And I actually have this, I'm kind of a sucker where I talk about, like, there's people on the other side. If they need help, I'm going to help them. I'm going to reach out. I'm going to do what I can do. I really do kind of do this kind of evaluation over and over again. And there are horrible people. There are some people out there that we see in this group of trolls that are horrible every day. And I can tell you, almost every one of them will tell you that at one point or another, I've been in their DMs either saying, hey, you know, why do you feel this way? Or is there anything we can do about that? Or maybe you could lay off this person. Or I've been trying this kind of, to a fault, I will try and bring somebody who I see acting horribly and inappropriately back to a place where they can be redeemed. Like, that's something very important to me, is to take somebody that I see acting poorly and try and change that, because I think that that's adding something to the world when we can get one of those people who's acting in a way that is out there harming people, but maybe not quite as bad, but they're out there doing things. I want to try. Like, I never feel like, I don't write people off unless I feel like you've crossed that line.
Absolutely. You can do a lot to me before I cut you off completely, but once I'm done, I'm fucking done, Jason.
Yeah. Not me. I usually I go around a few times.
Yeah, I go. Yeah, yeah. It takes a lot. You can walk all over me as a doormat. You can walk all over me. Once you wipe your shit on me, I'm out. Like I don't. But
Yeah.
I don't. How do you feel about like? I'm not a grudge person. I'm not a revenge or retribution person. I just simply once I'm done with that situation or that job or that person, uh, I just look forward. I object permanence for me is a big thing. So once I've chosen to sever that, whether it's logistically or physically or mentally, I'm out. How do you feel about those things, grudges and stuff?
I don't think I'm as good as at object permanence, but grudges, I do feel, and I feel like this is kind of a typical difference between men and women in general, is that you have this thing where I'll get really mad, again, usually almost always involving an injustice happening to somebody else. But I will also just as quickly, if I resolve it, I'll leave that state, and then I I think there's a lot of trolls that will tell you where I've had some blow ups with them, and then the next day I'll talk to them like nothing happened. Um,
Yes.
it's a common thing that I also get, like if I get in an argument with my spouse where I will, maybe I'll go overboard in terms of my reactions and my anger, and then 30 minutes later we're like, hey, do you want to go get some ice cream? And they'll be sitting there like, not with you, not, they're still kind of holding on to that. And I'm not putting my spouse on the spot because she definitely doesn't want me to talk about her ever. But in general, I feel that way in my relationships across the board, be it with friends or whatever else. Like, we're gonna have the confrontation, but for me, once that happens, yeah, it's gone.
Yeah.
It doesn't even exist.
I think you and I are similar in that we're very passionate, impassioned people. We fire up at things. We feel a sense of like and feel joy. I feel everything very very deeply, and that manifest. I express that in sort of elevated volume of my talking. I'm all about all caps when I'm feeling enthusiastic about things. I'm not yelling. I'm just enthusiastic. And there's times where I maybe my no filter kind of brutal honesty might run on my mouth ahead of my brain that's in the background going, hey, 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 hey. But it's not personal. It's just how I feel and deliver things. Is that a little bit you also?
I think so. In almost no circumstances, there's a couple that I can think of where I was actually mad on Twitter, but I'm very thoughtful in my if you see a post from me and you think it's horrible,
Oh,
it was
never.
on purpose. It was on purpose. Like
Yes.
I was very thoughtful in writing that. I very rarely lose control. I can think of maybe 2 instances on Twitter since Hailey Walbrecht has existed for the last 10 months or so. I can think of maybe 2 instances where I was actually mad at any given time when I was typing something, because it's not personal to me, in the sense that I have a mission. I'm trying to do something. I'm trying to be effective. And I don't want to give away my power in that moment. So I am always thinking, I think people see that I have fast responses. I'm able to come back quick when people post things. It's because I'm always in the game. Like I'm always in that fight. And for me, it's not personal. It's more along the lines of, this is the point I'm trying to hammer out with this, and I'm going to hammer on it until I make my point.
I think one of the things I don't want to blow too much smoke up your ass, but one of the things I love about your tweet repertoire is that it can be uh, like, I mean, it's always articulate, but you can come in. I'm trying to say you can do long, sort of clearly, articles and very well written things. It's all well written, but then you can also come in with a brutal, swift, precise, with cursey words, which I love. That's why I thought you're a chick.
No, I had to change them a little. I did
Oh,
have to.
oh,
As someone who I'm a big First Amendment person here in the United States, where I do believe that that freedom of speech in our Constitution here in the United States is so I'm sorry, Turd Ferguson is making me laugh as I read the comments.
She's very
Freedom
funny.
of speech. Freedom of speech is so ingrained in what I do. And when I did get exposed, I took a moment, and I actually consulted with some of the women in my life, friends and family members and things along those lines. And the kind of overarching request was that I was no longer allowed to use the C word. You can't use that word anymore.
You can
And
use it here. I
I
say it all the
know.
time, many
This
times.
is why I feel like I belong in Australia, right? Because it's my word, But um, but and no one asked me to clean it up. No one asked me to go back and take it down. They just said you may want to consider maybe not doing that as often anymore because it's not quite as acceptable for Jason as it is for Hailey. And I said, all right, let me think about it. And I do. On the flip side of all of this, there's a reason. There's a reason that I have such a strong passion for helping out SA victims or DV victims. I'm a girl dad. Like I have both. Boys and girls, but I'm a girl dad, and I have this kind of strong sense of kind of the double standards that apply to women in society as being another injustice. So we have this idea where we have young women who go around. The number of times young women say I'm sorry, and I always say to myself, "What are you sorry for?" Like they can't get away with that with me because I'm like, "What are you sorry for? You're apologizing to me right now, but why?" Oh, I don't know. I just do that all the time. I'm like, right. And you actually didn't do anything wrong, right? So you don't need to say sorry. Like I reject your apology as unnecessary. Like you don't need to say sorry to me because you didn't do anything wrong. And this idea of women growing up and being confident and coming into this position where they really feel I want women to feel equal to men because I see you as equals. I put women on a pedestal even somewhat, but on some level, like I really do just want women to not be in this position where they feel like they have to kind of make themselves subservient. Like I want strong, independent women who are out there who are, I want women to kick ass. And I think in a lot of circumstances, I'm not too masculine to admit that women are better at so many things than men that I want to see that. I want that to be expressed, and I don't want anyone to feel like they're being suppressed.
Can I
So
ask then, is your choice to be, when you chose Hailey Walbrecht, was your choice to be a woman so that you could be a kick-ass woman who went in there and kicked down doors as a female to champion that
there's a
sort
couple
of vibe?
there's a couple things that happen with that. So one of the things that I do in my advocacy, especially with SA victims, I think a lot of people see me active on Twitter and they see all of these things. But probably on order of several times a day at a minimum, I am getting contacted by people who are SA victims or DV victims or who are on this thing. And I spend a lot of time hearing like the most horrific stories. And one of the things that I see in common across the board is that people who were in those situations maybe already had low self-esteem going into them. And then it just gets worse and worse and worse. So once Hailey existed, it wasn't how Hailey got created, but once Hailey existed, it became very important to me to be seen as a strong woman because I really
I
wanted to
love
be
that.
an example. And if you look at, I mean, when we talked about analytics earlier, I actually pay attention to my analytics, but I don't look at the numbers. I'm over 20 million views on my tweets. That's not what I look at. What I look at is if you look at the breakdown, the people who are interacting with my tweets are 80% female. It's literally 80%. And there's a
Yep.
reason. Because that to me, it became kind of a secondary mission. Now, the reason Hailey was female was because there was a specific troll who was very good at getting my Twitter accounts canceled. And I had
Yes.
and I had lost 3 accounts in the period of a week permanently. And one of them was like my original account that actually was quite successful and I had for a period of years before ever talking about Karen Reed. And for me, it was just the particular troll who was doing that was known to be a bit of a womanizer. And I literally said, I don't want to give him any credit. Like, I don't want him to think that he was that effective. He if he's around, it's under a different name now anyway, because we got him. But I said, let me just see what happens if I come back as this attractive female. And the Hailey Walbrecht name and pictures and all of that, I actually had from a year earlier, because one of the things that I do, up to 3 to 5 times a day, I'm hearing stories from people in these situations. But one of the other things I advocate for, which people see in my advocacy for Aiden Carney, is people who are wrongfully accused. That's another passionate thing of mine. So when someone comes to me with a story and tells me that they're a victim of domestic violence or they've been sexually assaulted, I actually will investigate, because I am not in a position to where I want someone to be trying to use an advantage in a divorce case. I think we see that with some of the people I write about now. Use their victim status as kind of a crutch. So I actually do spend a lot of time vetting a story when someone tells it to me, because I'm not going to go and accuse somebody else until I kind of have this true picture of what's happening. So Hailey Walbrecht was actually created to help me do that in a way that victims would not feel like I was not believing them, because it's
Yes.
important for me to be supportive at the same time that that's occurring, because something is causing this person to come to me. And when people come to me, it's usually because they have nowhere else to go. So Hailey Walbrecht was created as an identity, and it was a miserable failure. The first day that it was on Facebook, I had a Facebook account. I actually purchased the name. It came with pictures and an email account. And the first day that I used it on Facebook, I got caught. Like, Facebook was like, this account is not real, and they wanted me to ID verify. I did successfully ID verify the account, and I'm never telling anyone how I did it, but I did not break the law to do it. But I didn't know that I put that account away I tried for like a week or two when I had first made it, and I put it away because I didn't know that I successfully ID verified. They'd come back like a week after. So that Facebook account was just sitting out there. But when it was time for me to create this new thing, I said, oh, I have this identity already. I created it. I have the pictures. I have an email. Like, let me go ahead and sign up as Hailey Walbrecht and see what happens here. So that's when I used it. And it was after that I went back and found out, like, oh, I have a Facebook account too, because they had ID verified me. So that's kind of where Hailey came from. And it really was a social experiment. I didn't think I was going to keep that account. I wanted to be able to go back in 2 weeks and say to that troll, you're such a loser. When I was here as a girl, all of a sudden I was saying the same things, but you suddenly liked me. But then this amazing thing happened, which is my account blew up. And it was just in that first 2-week period, all of a sudden I was getting likes, retweets, followers. I was getting attention from people, and I'm saying, oh, the social experiment was a smashing success in the long run. But I was just saying to myself, like, wow. And then I kind of felt a responsibility. And that's why Hailey was very snarky at first, but wasn't doing a lot of advocacy. And I started looking at things that Grant was doing and things that were happening out there. And I started saying to myself, wow, there's a real need for something here. And that's when it became kind of my mission. And so it's a little bit different than kind of just a social experiment that I started as.
Yes. Continue, carry on.
And it was by February or March, probably the beginning of March, where I decided, okay, this is something more. Like, I'm going to do something with this. I'm going to actually start writing. And I didn't tell anyone. I just kind of went in and I changed my handle, or in my bio, I added independent journalist and put a little quote that meant something to me about journalism. And it's kind of just when I decided right then and there, like, this account's going to be different. I'm using it, but I'm not being effective. I'm not using it to my full potential. And that's when I decided that I'm going to do something different now. And that's when Hailey was really born, I'd say, at the end of February.
Amazing. Thank you for telling us about that, because it's always been a curiosity to me. And you really managed to, I guess now you don't, it's just your writing style, but it was the questions that the trolls and me, not a troll, but I was just like, I'd love to know, but I get it. You managed to be so gender neutral. You're just a badass, regardless, male or female. Just yeah, it was really impressive.
I appreciate that. I did used to love because they would do the trolls were great. And they would take all of my writings and they'd run them through like an AI analyzer, and the AI analyzer would come back and say, "We don't know." Like AI didn't know if I was AI or not, which I loved. By the way, I've never used AI in writing, not literally not
Neither.
once. The only thing I used
Neither.
Chat GPT was once on vacation. My son was needling me saying, you're not famous, Dad. You're not famous." And I said, "Sure, I'm famous. Like, ask Chat GPT." And I was just kidding around. And he asked Chat GPT who was Hailey Walbrecht, and it came up with this answer like, Hailey Walbrecht is an independent journalist, and there's some questions surrounding their gender. Like, it came up with these things about me, and I was just like, "Oh my God, Chat GPT knows who I am." Like, I was very excited about it. And it was a great like father son mom where I said, "See, I told you." But for me, it was it was all unexpected, but all of my writing was mine. But I used to love it when they did that. And they'd also do like a male female analyzer when they'd put my writings through that. And it would literally come back 50-50, like right in the middle. They could never peg who I was. And none of that was by design. I wasn't intentionally trying to avoid those kind of detections. It's just how it came up. So I used to love when they would put all the work in to do that. It's kind of my favorite thing to keep them running in circles.
I mean, even for me, the whole outfit of the day thing, I was like, oh, well, that wouldn't be a man. That has to be maybe that's a. And then you said to me in DMs, you're like, well, for a straight guy, I quite like women's fashion.
Yeah, the trolls are going to get me on this. It's going to be forever. Like, so we might as well just get it out of the bag. I really do. Being a girl dad, I've always had that. Dad, what do you think of my outfit? Dad, what do you think of my outfit? What do you think of this? And for me, it's always been a thing. Like, I do enjoy it. Like, I literally look at the circulars that come in the mail. Like, we get the things and I look through, hey, what are the latest trends and fashions? And so I am definitely, for a straight guy, I'm very, fashion conscious for women. So,
Awesome.
and I did think your outfit of the day posts were cute. I've been devastated that you've discontinued them.
Honestly, it's the same every week, man. It's like it's Groundhog Day for me. It's reliant on me choosing the right colored shirt to go with the socks because I've only got one of each color socks. It ends up being quite conflicting for me because I need to have things to match as part of my neurodivergence. Things have to match, even if it's a well placed contrasting pattern, so long as it aesthetically matches. Like, I'm sorry. I don't understand those serial killer type people who can wear odd socks.
Oh, I could never do that.
Or who wear underwear that has, the day of the week on it, and they're wearing a day of the week that isn't that day. I'm like, how? I couldn't.
Well,
I couldn't. My day would be bad.
I think I have that kind of OCD too. And a lot of it was, I'm a former Marine, and like, I have to wear a belt. I have to wear a white t-shirt. Have to. I can't. And people are like, it's summer and it's so hot. And I'm like, nope, it's better for me with it on. I have to wear, if I leave the house without a belt, provided I have belt loops with what I'm wearing. But if I leave the house without a belt, I will stop and buy a belt. I have probably more belts than any person known to man, because if I leave the house and I don't have a belt, I'm going to stop and buy one. I probably spent thousands of dollars on belts over the years because I do not feel right if I don't have it on.
Yes. Actually, you mentioning your belts, one of the often uniting things about neurodivergent folks is that we like to collect things. Do you have collections of things other than belts? Things in number, volume of things that you probably don't need that many of X, Y, or Z, but you have lots of them?
Well, I collect tools, and it's not on purpose, because I will literally put a tool down somewhere and I won't find it. And I have kind of this infamous story where I came home one day and I was very angry, and I'm like, somebody broke into my car and they stole my drill. Like, they broke into my car and they stole my drill, and I went and got a new drill. And sure enough, when I came back, it was like a day or two later, I found I'd taken the drill out of my car and I put it somewhere. So I have at least two of every tool, but it's not an intentional collection, although I'm happy that I do. But it really is it really is a thing. I don't collect things per se. I collect everything. I would probably classify as a hoarder. Like, if I didn't have someone going behind me saying, we're throwing this away, I would still have everything that I've ever acquired in the course of my almost
Amen.
52 years.
I don't like to. We're not hoarders. We keep things that are useful, that we've spent money on, and that might be useful in the future. I personally like things that bring me joy, that are aesthetically pleasing and also functional. But like, let me speak then on the other end of that spectrum. I have 20 flavors of toothpaste, Jason. I have over 200 pairs of socks, not work socks, just cute socks that have to match with, like, it took me about 5 minutes to choose the socks to wear with what I'm wearing today. No one's seeing my socks. Have to. I've got 130 plants, like I've got hand towels, everything. And that was, again, one of the things that in that self-identification checklist, self-assessment checklist, I was like, oh, hang on. Yeah, I've got a lot of things, and handbags, anything. If I like one thing, I'll get it in all the colors. And if all the colors is 40, I'll have 40.
You get 40. Yeah, I see. That's interesting. That doesn't happen to me so much, but I do buy things. I do a lot of impulse buying, and like another famous thing, or infamous as it may be, like I wanted this universal remote that I saw, and I'm like, this is really cool. Like I need this universal remote, and then I had it. I had the thing in the box, in the plastic wrap still around the box for about 4 years before someone finally was like, we're sending this to a tag sale. Like you never open the thing. And I do, like, if I look around, even in my immediate area, I have things around me that I've purchased, but I've never opened. That happens to me a lot. So I do end up with a lot of things and it's not because I'm collecting them. It's just because I've moved on from whatever my thought was in the moment when I got it.
I think that's quite a common theme. Impulse buying or impulsivity can be a feature of neurodivergence, not always. Some people are very measured and very planning. For me, as an ADHD person, there's a bit of a weird balance there where I like to do a lot of contemplating, but then also, yikes, let's just do it. Boom, jump off the cliff. Why not? But I think impulsivity is one thing, and that can also be leaving something behind. Might be people with hobbies and things, and that's a bit of a stigma that society tends to put on, and it becomes a bit a meme, a theme and a meme that, but it's stereotypes are based in truth, and so often we find something that we want to hyper focus on that gives us great joy. It's all encompassing. It's all we can think about, and then it might be very soon after, it might be months or even years after, that we then suddenly drop that, whatever it was, hobby. Like I used to be a competitive bodybuilder for over 8 years. It was, I lived and breathed everything about it. Like I competed internationally. It cost me tens of thousands of dollars a year to do it, much toll on my body. I got a lot of enjoyment out of it. And when I retired from doing that, because I reached a point where I could no longer feel like I was scrutinizing my body and nothing was ever good enough about it, that I just mentally, I had to, and also it had run its course for me. I retired in 2016, I think, or 15. And I went to the gym a few more times half-heartedly with my daughter, my adult daughter. She owns a gym now. She started it from scratch. But I've never been to a gym since, Jason. Like I can't imagine I'll ever lift another weight in my life. I enjoyed it, but it's run its course for me. Interesting.
Well, I purchased a 18-month gym membership. You could buy the year and get 6 months free, kind of thing. And I saw one of my friends the day that I went in and bought the membership, and that I saw him again like 2.5 to 3 months later. And he said, I haven't run into you at the gym. Like we must be going at different times. And I said, no, the last time I was at the gym, I saw you. And he's like, you saw me? And I said, yes, it was because it was the day that I signed up for the gym. I'm actually a little bit better now. But I did, like, for the first several months in my 18-month gym membership, I didn't even go once. Like I never went back after I signed up. And granted, I signed up, I did a family membership and my son was going, and it was a big plan that I was going to do this. And since then I've been back a few times.
I feel you, Jason. When
starting next week though,
Yeah. I put on a lot of weight, probably almost 30 kilos. So what's that, 60 or 70 pounds, due to a whole lot of things, mostly my mental health and poverty and circumstances. Anyway, when I started I started my job that I'm doing now, so I was being more active, and I wanted to lose the weight. It wasn't me, particularly given that my history of eating disorders and then bodybuilding, which is kind of the same thing.
Yep.
Obsessive compulsive behaviors to control things, yeah, and you can legitimately control your food intake as a bodybuilder, obviously. But so I decided to sign myself up. I'm like, New Year's resolution. I'm like, that's it. I've lost a little bit of weight. I want to keep losing the weight. And so I signed myself up for, again, an 18-month plan. I thought, I'll sign myself up for that. All the gyms, like to be able to go to a pass to use any of the gyms in my area. So this was like 2 years ago. And I went one. I did go once, but I did a group fitness class because I used to be a group fitness instructor and personal trainer as well. Did one. I never went back again. I haven't. Now that the 18 months is over, I could cancel it, and I went online to try and cancel it, and I was like, this is too hard. I can't see how. Nah, just leaving it. I did lose 20 kilos.
Yeah.
I did lose 20 kilos, so it worked. I just never went to the gym again.
That's right. So, yeah.
The best laid plans and all that, Jason.
I have. I don't talk about that. I have type 2 diabetes, and actually the very particular form of cancer that I had, it's almost 100% in terms of people that either get the diabetes or get the cancer. They're not quite sure which comes first. My diabetes is very well controlled, but I've kind of had this loophole. So when one of the ways that they controlled my diabetes was that they put me on Ozempic. And when I was on the Ozempic, I had my 1-year appointment after having been on Ozempic. And the way insurance works and everything else, they had this, sorry, my printer's making some noise. They had this plan where I had to go to a weight loss doctor to get the Ozempic, even though the Ozempic was to control my blood sugar. And so when I went to the weight loss doctor, I had my 1-year appointment this August. And when I was in the weight loss doctor, he said, you're the only patient of mine that has taken Ozempic and at their 1-year mark has gained 2 pounds. and it's because I was using the Ozempic in order to basically control my blood sugar while eating whatever I wanted. It was one of those things, when I had cancer, the oncologist told me that he wanted me to eat ice cream twice a day because I had lost over 100 pounds. And I posted some of the pictures. It was grim. And so my oncologist told me he wanted me to eat ice cream twice a day. And I religiously was a good patient and did what he asked of me. And I ate ice cream twice every day. And then at one point, I remember going into his office for a follow-up, and he said, oh yeah, the ice cream thing, you can stop that now, because I had gained most of the weight back. But it's easier said than done. When you've become accustomed to eating ice cream twice a day, your body wants that ice cream twice a day.
Sugar is highly addictive.
So I did use so I've turned over a new leaf since August. I'm actually doing pretty well, but I did make it a point to say, all right, I'm going to be a little more responsible. I'm not going to go and have a McDonald's Coke every single day, because I know the Ozempic will keep my blood sugar where I want it,
Nice. I wanted to change tack a little bit. You're a father of daughters. I'm not sure whether your child on the spectrum, that's your son, am I right? No, that's your daughter.
Yep.
Yes.
I have multiple of each, but for obvious reasons, the trolls have been trying very, very hard to identify all of them, and I won't go into many details.
No, I don't want any details
about the breakdown.
No. Of course not. I don't want any details other than that to say, one of the things someone in my Discord, I think it was Alice, but she was talking about, and this is for my life a very common theme, and as a father of daughters, or neurodivergent or not, and however many don't want to know, have you witnessed friendships in your children that have been thick and fast at some point? Sorry, my neighbors are making noise. Thick and fast and thick as thieves. And then that friendship seemingly falls away and your child perhaps is confused as to what happened there?
I think because I have so many, I've seen kind of every aspect of that. Again, I won't get into the details, but I have multiples of each gender. So what I will say is that I think I've kind of seen that in different things. And with my with my daughter who is on the spectrum,
Mm-hmm.
she has developed a very interesting online community of friends. So
Yes.
she and in real life, it was really always very hard for her to have many friends at all. And now we're at the point to where I will never give anybody any clues, but she's done some content creation and done some things. Like I said, she's an artist, and she actually has almost been an inspiration to me because she has a fan base and she has people that follow her work, and so that's kind of how it's been for her. But I can't say that I've seen that in particular with my neurodivergent daughter, but I actually have another daughter where I have seen that those kind of patterns kind of evolve and develop. And I think a lot of that is because of the activities and how active they are and changing teams and playing different sports and doing different things along the way just have kind of led to, these short-term focus in different groups. But there's always, but underlying, there's always kind of like a core group that sticks with it.
Sure. Yeah. The reason I ask is I think maybe it's part of me, my meanness, me, Lisa, that's me, my, that emotional kind of like emphatic nature of my communications, and my sometimes, like, I feel like I'm pretty aware of people and things and nuances, highly overly aware most of the time, hyper aware. But there, in my lifetime, there's been many times where everything was going uh, amazingly, and then suddenly it's just gone. That friendship, and that is also can be a theme in neurodivergence. So I was interested to ask whether you'd experienced that as a parent or even as yourself.
I have I also have a good group of core friends. Like I told you, I actually literally work with a
Yes,
lot
yes.
of my childhood friends, but no, but I will say I work very hard I'm a very conscientious person. I actually am very interested in what's going on in people's lives and what's happening with them. But if it's not in front of me, it may take me. I notice even on Twitter and my relationships with people that I've become friendly with, even more so than just followers where we may spend a lot of time DMing or doing things like that. I will always check on my friends, but it's usually after I haven't heard from them in about 4 or 5 days. And then it will come around and I'll be like, wait a minute. Boom, it hits me like I haven't heard from this person in 4 days. Like, let me reach out to them. Hey, like just checking in on you to make sure everything's okay because I noticed I haven't heard from you. But I won't notice that for days. Even if it's someone
That,
I talk to every day, I may not know.
yes,
It may take me 3 days to notice that I'm not talking to them. So
yes.
that
I
happens
think
to me
that,
in real life too.
yes, it's an object permanence thing a little bit too, with so much going on in your brain and with so many sensory inputs that you, by design, you said with your tabs and your screens up there that are going, and being productive, you choosing to be productive. I think sometimes something like, sadly, well, for me, like once they're sort of out of my rotation, my brain doesn't pull that back into rotation, and they'll be like, "Oh my god, same as you." I'm like, "Oh, I haven't." Terrible friend.
No,
You're
and
not a
I
terrible
have
friend.
had people. I mean, I have people that notice that. There are people that say to me like, "Oh, like I had this important thing going on, and you didn't check on me, or you didn't know it." I'm like, but I didn't realize it. Like it wasn't intentional. And conversely, like for me, if we're friends, I could not talk to you for 15 years. And the next time I talk to you, I'm just as good friends with you in my head as we were
Yes,
15 years ago.
yes, yes. Because nothing. If nothing happened to fracture that friendship,
Nothing's
then
changed. Yeah.
no. Yeah, exactly, exactly. Another thing, I wanted to talk to you about, and given your highly active brain, mine too, how do you go with sleep? What's your sleep like?
It's horrible. So I actually had a tweet today where I talked about this. I had seen some of Yellow Cottage Tales, Kevin Lenahan's early writings that I tweeted about, and our friend Abby tweeted about yesterday, and it led me to finding some more of his writings on not on Twitter, on another platform. We're able to go through and kind of see what he was writing about and his writing style and the things that he was doing. And I made it my mission last night. I was, you know, it was probably around 4 o'clock this morning, our time, that I actually went to sleep because I sat at my computer and I tried to write. I tried to intentionally write in his style. Like I said, I'm going to write something and I'm going to do this. That wasn't productive for sure. But I said, I'm going to do this in Yellow Cottage Tales style, this writing, which I'm just going to say I consider to be horrible. And I'm going to try and duplicate that and maybe kind of poke fun at his writing by writing. I couldn't do it. Like I tried so hard that I literally hyper focused and I stayed up the entire night trying to type this. And I finally, posted a tweet about it saying, I tried to do this, but hey, Kev Parody, you give this a shot because I can't do it. So that's typical of me. So if it's all over the map. Sometimes I'll watch TV and I'll fall asleep and I'll sleep through the night. But other times, if I fall asleep for 10 minutes and I wake up, my brain tells me I've slept for the night and I can't go back to sleep.
Yes.
So
actually, I sent you a DM with the idea of talking about some things and expecting you to not be up for the day, and you responded straight away. I'm like, gosh, she's up early, but no, you were still up.
I actually think that, well, the other problem is a lot of times, so like even if I stay up till 4, I may wake up at 5. So I may wake up an hour later and then I'm up for the day. Or I may wake up at 5 and stay up till 7 and then fall back asleep till 9. Like the sleep regulation is really bad. Sometimes I get 4 hours, sometimes I get 40 minutes. It's really interesting.
Have you ever tried melatonin? It's very good.
I haven't. One of my children did, and actually they experienced some of those same issues in terms of sleep regulation and what they're doing, and it led to very recently having a conversation about it. All of my kids are out of the house. I don't have any kids that live here, but we ended up in this situation where I had the conversation and I said, "Did you ever notice when you couldn't fall asleep and you left your room at 4 a.m, who did you run into every time?" It was me because I was awake. So like, I know where you're coming from and here are some strategies that we can use, but it's an ongoing issue, for me and for them. Like it really is, it's so important. It's so important, but yeah, I haven't mastered it.
Sleep hygiene is super important for me to have good quality sleep. And I'm exhausted. I do 15 to 20,000 steps a day in my work. So I'm physically exhausted and it's vigilant the whole time outdoors. But there's so many things you can do to minimize how stimulated your brain is. Although when your brain is doing its own stimulating stuff, it's tricky. But yeah, I just recommended this book to Adam Drives Helen, my boyfriend, one of my moderators, my lead moderator, called Why We Sleep. It's very good.
I see him commenting that he's the same in there. So I saw Adam's comment.
I'm very worried about him because he is very fractured in his sleep. And so there's this book called Why We Sleep, and I can't remember who wrote it. It's very good. I listened to it on Audible. It's a very good read. It explains how the time of night that you sleep and circadian rhythms and really important. So I went about really trying to clean up my sleep schedule and my sleep hygiene to get me the best sleep. But if I'll go through, I'm very tied to the moon as well. When it's coming up to the full moon, my sleep is horrendous, fractured, highly lots of lucid dreaming. I wake up all the time. And then regardless of how tired I am, I never have a problem falling asleep. But I get up at 3:30 every morning. But if like this morning, I woke up, even though it's my first day off of 4 days off in a row this weekend, unusual. I woke up at 5 to 3, which is before my normal alarm time. And my brain went ding. I thought of all these things. I was like, I guess that's it for me today. Like, so I got 6 hours sleep, but that's pretty
yeah.
What is the sleep you speak of?
To me, that would be, 6 hours sleep would be like that sounds like vacation to me.
Yes.
Because it definitely doesn't happen.
Go ahead. Yeah, no, I as I'm getting older, like I used to be I'll sleep when I'm dead, no time to sleep, sleeping's for losers kind of attitude. As I'm getting older now, as things happen, more and more, when I'm tired, I get really princessy and bratty. Internally and externally, my communications I have less tolerance for anything. I can't be the bright, chirpy, sparkly Miss Shorty on online as easily. It takes its toll on me. So I've just learned very much of recent years to really value my sleep and to try to do everything I can to get as much, so I'm not inflicting that stuff on other people around me. Like, nobody needs to get my brat. They do get it though.
No, every once in a while, I've noticed, I try not to do it, but I have noticed every once in a while that sometimes when people get it from me on Twitter, they're paying the price for whatever else happened in my life that day or whatever else is there. And it literally, like, they're literally how I'm relieving my stress. And whenever that happens, I always try to go back and apologize to the person. I've made a lot of friends on the other side by attacking them and then coming back later and saying, that had nothing to do with you, and I'm really sorry that I came at you because it had something to do with, I was angry about something that was happening in my life, and you didn't deserve that. You know, I do that a lot. And it usually makes me friends. Yeah.
Yeah. People nobody likes to get that tongue lashing from somebody, whether it's verbally or in text form. But if you can come back and say, look, I fucked up. I wasn't being, that wasn't fair on you. That was a me problem, not a you problem. And I'm sorry. That goes a long way to mending bridges. Ernie says here, I used to depression sleep. Now I'm up all the time. Same, Ernie. There's a period in my life where I literally actively slept away the days to just get rid of being like depression, rather than being out in the world, because it was too much to bear. My record is 51 hours with no medication and no drugs, just me, just like, I woke up like to go to the toilet and stuff, but 51 hours back in the day. Now I wish.
I've always had kind of strange things. Like I had a period of time where I was working multiple shifts, and I would do 72 hours awake and then sleep for 24 straight hours. Like I had a system, and I did that for like a period of months where I did that in a row. Stay awake for 72 hours, sleep for 24 hours, stay awake.
Yes.
I kind of can adapt to whatever situation that I'm put in, but most of my sleep almost every day is involuntary. When it's time for me to sleep, it's when my body has finally said, you're going to sleep whether you like it or not. So it's almost like narcolepsy in the sense that when it comes, it's going to happen. Doesn't happen for long periods of time or whatever else, but most of the time that I hear a lot, you can fall asleep in minutes and it takes me an hour to fall asleep. And I'm like, yeah, but I may only sleep for minutes, but you're right. When it happens, it goes like that.
Yeah, back in the day when I was a group fitness instructor and burning the candle at both ends, teaching early classes, I was working full time as well, and physically exhausted. I used to pull up to the particular gym where I was about to teach that class a little bit early, turn off the engine, not even set my alarm, just put my head down, fall asleep for a little bit, and then get up, go again, little power naps. I mostly every single night of my life, as soon as my head hits the pillow, I'm out. But yes. People have got some questions in the chat, Jason, that I've starred some. Oh, look, here we go. It's not a question, but I never thought Hailey would be even more amazing after coming out, but he's even more amazing. Agree. Strongly agree.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm not sad that I did like I like to keep them guessing because Hailey made them so angry. Like, so I did like to kind of have that moment where I was out there and constantly causing people to wonder who I was. But it's so freeing to also be on the other side of this. I'm now applying for press passes. I'm able to do things. There was no way that as Hailey, I was ever really going to kind of take off on this independent journalism like I'm doing.
Absolutely. I think I said to you in the DM, while I was sorry that the doxing occurred, I think it was an amazing thing. But also for me, I felt a sense of relief, and I don't know whether you did that. I mean, those trolls, they doxed so many people and hounded so many people in their quest to find out you. Does it feel a relief to know that nobody else will experience that particular kind of attack from those people?
It does. And I always felt bad because I know, there's always part of me that knows they were doing that because they knew how much it bothered me. because again, it's injustice to other people is how you get to me. And somebody figured out that formula. And I actually know a lot of people think it was Waiting on Angels, and it wasn't. It was somebody behind. It was the Predator Rit Smith behind the scenes who kept pushing to say that I was Mark Murphy and kept pushing to say that I was Melanie Little. He was to borderline harassing people behind the scenes to try and get them to accuse me of being other people. And that was the intention.
Oh, so you don't think they were actually necessarily doxing people to find out whether that was you or not, but actually to get at you, knowing full well that it wasn't you, but just doing it to really get under your skin and hurt you that way?
I think there was some people that were doing that. I think a lot of the people that were actually posting it were being fed information, so they believed it. So I don't hold everyone to everyone should be accountable for their actions, right? But I don't hold everyone to the same account when they were actually being manipulated by someone else who was trying to do this for a reason. And I actually wrote, I'm not afraid to say it, 2 days ago, I wrote, because I went on Sean's stream and apparently Melanie Little was in the comments. And
there was a lot of creators in that stream. A lot of people. There was a lot.
It doesn't surprise me that people came to that stream. But while Melanie was in the comments, I haven't read the comments. I've gone back and tried to, but I haven't made it through. And there was a scenario where apparently she was mad. Waiting on Angels was also in the comments. And from what people have messaged me, Melanie was saying that she deserves an apology and she does these things. And I'll let Waiting on Angels kind of tell her own story around that and make decisions about what she's going to do. But I actually sent Melanie Little an email 2 days ago apologizing for my role, because part of me, I think the goal was to get me to be able to try to force me to out myself, because people kept getting punished. And there were several occasions where I was very close to doing it. I'm not going to lie. Because I couldn't take the constant harassment of these other people in my name. It really made me angry. And so that was one of the 2 times I was probably mad that I mentioned earlier. But I did write Melanie Little an email apologizing, because I just said the other day that in that live stream, I said that I'm friends with Waiting on Angels now. And I normally, when I say that, which I am, but normally when I say that, I also give it but she should still be held accountable for her own actions. And that's like that's her cross to bear. And I didn't do that on Sean's stream. And I don't think it came across the way that I wanted it to. So I did send Melanie Little an email where I apologized to her. I hope she sees it. I don't know. But I did send her the email where I apologized to her. And I said, listen, for my part in this, I actually am sorry, because I'm not going to go into the entire story, but with Waiting on Angels, I said the most horrible thing to her that I've ever said to anyone. And there was about 3 days of being needled, and she lost a child. And I brought that up in a comment to her, and I made a horrific comment about it. And I immediately, it's the worst thing I've ever said to anyone, actually, to this day. And I immediately knew when I said it that this was wrong. Like, you shouldn't have done this. Like, I knew I went too far. That was the other time. That was the other time when I was mad on Twitter. So there's the 2 times. And I immediately apologized to her. I basically implied that her son, who had died in a traffic accident, intentionally put himself in that position to avoid dealing with her, which is, it's horrible.
Oh, I've said something like that to a very close person to me, and it's like they've never spoke to me again. So
it's horrible. And I actually, to this day, this was back in February or January, and I think about it probably every day to this day. And I spent a lot of time apologizing to her, but for that person to be my number 1 detractor online, I couldn't blame her, because I crossed this line that I never should have crossed. And so I've apologized to her publicly several times. I've apologized to her privately several times. I think once she found out who I was, again, I'm not going to tell her story, but I think once she found out who I was and realized that the people that were manipulating her were lying to her the whole time, and that I was never any of those other people that they tried to tell her that I was, I think she has expressed to me, at least, that she felt horrible. And there was like kind of a big weight lifted off both of us that day, the day that I was doxxed, because I was able to go back to her and say, hey, look, we had this moment. Because after that comment, when I apologized, she forgave me. And then we had another falling out. in between, because I was acutely aware of how horrible what I said was, we actually, when I apologized to her and she accepted it, we started talking in the DMs, and I had shared some information with her about my life that was 100% all true. And then when we had the falling out, she said I was a liar, and then I was Melanie Little, and I was Mark Murphy, and we had all these things that happened. And when I got doxxed, she was faced with the realization that, oh my God, every one of these things that he told me was true, because I had told her the truth about who I was, because I think I just wanted her, even though she had forgiven me, I really wanted her to see who I was, to understand that how out of character that was for me, and how badly I felt about it. And so now we're actually pretty good. Like we get along swimmingly. I probably trade a DM with her every day or two, and I think that it makes me happy that we've kind of been able to move past this kind of thing that both of us did, and something nice has kind of come out of it. And now the same people who were attacking me are attacking her, and you see her, um she's holding a grudge a little bit about the things that people told her to kind of, not that she doesn't take responsibility for her actions, but she was manipulated too, and
Yes,
she has every right to hold on to that anger. So
absolutely. Shari Dean, I think you've kind of answered this, but how do you handle all the backlash you face on social media? You definitely don't ignore.
I definitely don't. When I get interaction, so if I get Kate Peter is a great example. If I'm calling out Kate Peter for something, it's for a reason. I have a plan. Like I said, everything that I do is planned, and I go out there. And when she responds by calling me a predator, or sending a letter, or having some do different things, that's just, to me, it's a measure of my effectiveness. It means that, again, here's this effective word, right? It means to me that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. So I never take it personally. Those people don't know me. They don't know who I am. I've got great friends in real life. Their attempts to cancel me have fallen flat, because I create relationships with people. So my customers, I have most of my customers have been my customers for 15 years or longer. I'm friends with them. They know who I am. So when someone comes forward without evidence and says I'm a predator, when someone approaches the Special Olympics to try and have me canceled as a volunteer, which to me is amazingly short-sighted, I'm able to show the Special Olympics the emails from that person, or messages from that person, using the R word and saying that I propagate, people who have developmental disorders, as like an insult against me. So all of their attempts to kind of come at me, again, I've only gotten busier. I haven't gotten less busy. Those things fall flat because I am who I say I am. I'm not in their world where it's a constant manipulation and scheme and, contriving things out there. I'm not doing dirty tricks. I'm just a regular person who tries to help people. And I think that comes through.
Right on point. Someone called Muff Lord was banned. I banned them. There's some stupid. They must have heard you calling the troll call, and said some stupid shit about you. So I should have left it there so you could call them out on it. They're
That's
gone
all right.
now. So. Oh my God! Another one. Here they all come. Hey, look! Here they all come.
I
Here
see
they
that.
all come.
The word went out.
Yay!
There's
Imagine.
There's a so Jake's son's an interesting character. I literally, this is the thing. I think Jake's muted. I don't think I have him blocked. I might have him blocked. I literally, someone who's so ineffective. Like, if you think that I'm going to be insulted by you saying that I came out of the closet, I love gay people. I have one of my children is gay, and I have so many gay people in my life that, like, long 30+ year relationships with people. It's not an insult to me. So
No,
I
it just
happen to be straight, but when you try to make that an insult, it only reflects on you. I don't care. So if my being gay makes you happy, I'm gay. I love it. I'm gay. I'm gay. I'm gay. Anything else? I mean,
gay.
I don't I've only been involved in heterosexual relationships. I'm not attracted to people of the same sex. But when it comes down to it, if being gay is your insult for me, then I own it. I'm gay. I love it. Clip this. Wait,
100%.
clip this, trolls. I'm gay. Play it for everybody.
And also put in there that Jake's son loves gay people, so he loves you.
Oh, I'm gay, but sorry, Jake, it's not going to happen. I just don't care. You're never gonna get me with that. It doesn't matter to me. It's not an insult.
No, the fact that they just goes.
This is how you know that they sent out a call and they came here, because if they were truly trying to do this, they literally would come here and say, "You're ineffective," and then I'd be sitting here like, "Oh no, you're not going to get me by calling me gay."
Oh, they're idiots. They are. These are the morons that you were talking about before.
Yeah. So
Yes.
Sean Hickey is asking how I developed the list. It just came. It came on its own. I don't know what to tell you. Maybe it's a sign that I'm supposed to be gay, but I just haven't been able to pull it off yet in terms of being attracted to people of the same sex. But if the list makes me gay, again, I'm also gay.
I must be mildly gay then too, because I have a mild lisp, Jason. So together we can stand LGBTQ plus united. Sean Hickey, how did you get so whatever you are?
What I like is that the world has literally been exposed to antiquated rogue Joe Warren, Rogue, his live stream the last couple of days. He has a lisp. They're literally out there making fun of me for having a lisp while they're worshiping this guy who has a lisp. And he's got a lot of other problems too, I might add. But like, I'm almost 52 years old. I've had a lisp since I've been talking. You're not going to tell me anything I haven't heard 1,000 times all over. I don't care. Like, you're not going to get me that way.
As if that's like, that's the base level. That's literally all they've got.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Alice, the dragon. Yes. Anyone who uses orientation, sex, or neurotype as an insult is just reaching for the low-hanging fruit that was picked to death centuries ago. Come up with some new material, FFS.
It's just kind of sad in the sense that, like, I don't know who falls for that. Like, I don't know who that. Joe Biffle, that's a great comment. I love that. I don't know who falls for that though, because like, it really doesn't. This is 2024. Like, we're not sitting here where if you said that to somebody, if you attach that label to somebody in 1990 or in 1980 or any of those times, it would be scandalous. But for me, I don't care. I don't call me gay. It's fine.
No, I get a lot of hate for my lips. I'm like, and like, is that all you got?
And yet, half the women who are hating you for it are probably on a website looking for lip filler injections. So it's
men and women.
mean,
yes, it's men and women, and the men I think are wishing that those lips were wrapped somewhere that we don't want to talk about on streams.
Right, but it's these ridiculous things again when they come at you for these immutable characteristics. Like, your lips are your lips. Like, so what? Like, everyone
exactly.
has different. Everyone, they're at the same time they're going to make fun of all the Irish women in Boston who have the thin lip because that's their genetic trait. And like, who cares? Like, you're not even at this point. The trolls have become cartoon characters. It really is. Like, you're not even real people. Guess what? We're made up of gay people, straight people, people who don't even know. Maybe they're in between. People with big lips, people with small lips. The whole point is that we talk about neurodivergence. How about we just talk about diversity in general? Because the whole point is that we are all different people, and it's our differences that make us interesting, and that includes whether we're gay or have big lips or have a lisp or don't, or who cares. Grow up.
Exactly. Yeah. Usually the comment goes, "Oh, what happened to your lips?" And my comeback is always, "What happened to your manners?" Nice. I don't like whatever. Like, did you not? Did you don't? Funny. Let me see. I want to sort of see whether we can rein it back in a little bit to neurodivergent, and then I might let you go. Because you've given us 2 hours.
I'm just setting out a quick tweet to head them off at the pass, telling everyone that I'm gay. Here, give me 1 second here.
Yeah, for sure. I'll do it. One of my people will clip it for you too, so you can clip it. I love it. Jake's son loves gay people. You're gay. It's a love fest all round.
I tagged you in my post here. There we go.
Thank you. Amazing. Well, perhaps I should continue on with the outfit of the day posts so that you're a gay man.
Thank you. I love that.
Okay, let's do that. We can
Actually,
join forces.
You just gave me the best idea ever. Jake's son and whoever else was in here doing those things, I want you to send me a picture of your outfit every day, and I'm going to critique it because I'm gay and I like fashion. So send those things to me. I mean, I generally like women's fashion. So if you want to, by all means, if you want to dress the part, that's great. But take pictures of yourself every day and post them so we can all critique them and have conversations about your fashion sense. I think that's a way that we could interact positively.
Absolutely. It's productive too. We can all grow our sense of fashion and get constructive feedback. And the trolls get to do stuff about appearances because that's what they love to do. It's win-win-win. Turds ask a question here, but I'm not quite sure. Do you know what that means?
Yeah, so it's on your case, not on your side. So it's
yes.
HW on your case. I actually have registered an LLC for my independent journalism called On Your Case Media, and it will also be kind of how I will be starting a YouTube channel. I think I can make that announcement here pretty comfortably. And On Your Case is when I decided all the way back in, me too, Joe. I decided all the way back in again, when I decided back in February, the beginning of March, that I was going to do this journalism thing, I actually rebranded my Twitter accounts HW On Your Case because thank you, Taryn. I love that. Because I knew I was going to be doing this, and I knew I was going to be transitioning over into this media and becoming an independent journalist. So we have to that's just part of the branding that I'm doing. On Your Case, I'd like to play in true crime in terms of how it really is my interest. I literally watched the OJ trial every day of it and have followed court cases since then. So for me, it is it's important for me to kind of keep that tied to true crime. But you'll see as I rebrand a little bit more over the upcoming weeks, you'll see that On Your Case is going to be prominently featured in what I do. And I like the thing that I'm on your case and that I'm on your case. So.
I love it. I love it. Miss Jess has said, thank you for sharing this information with us, Jason. Yes, you've been, I knew that you would have many things to say, that we would cover many things. I think we've got a lot of, we covered neurodivergence. We've covered the trolls. Do you feel like trolls come after, I know you're not a vulnerable person. You're very feisty and equipped to meet them at the pass. Do you feel like trolls, as a general rule, though, go after more vulnerable? Wrong word, not vulnerable. Like neurodivergent people are often subject to being taken advantage of and being hoodwinked, conned. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I do. They definitely look for people they consider to be vulnerable. They are classic bullies. It really is just a classic bullying move. Yeah, they'll come after me and they'll say this, but look at my posts. I mean, I very often am directly calling out Kate Peter, Lindsay Gaetani, several other people in their movement, and look at the responses in the comments. And they'll make a post and I'll respond in the comments. And for the most part, I don't know if they're being told like, no, he's off limits only weekend, but for the most part, most of these people, they don't oppose me. Like if you look at the comments, they're 90% against even more, probably 95% against Kate in the posts that I make and things like that. Her people have even stopped kind of coming to defend her. And I think that's because they know that I'm going to have an answer. If they come at me, I'm going to have a quick reply. I'm going to say something. I'm usually going to win the exchange. I'm going to be honest because I love it. It's my sport. Like I love nothing more than when they try to come back at me and oppose me at how quickly I can turn things around. So they don't bother, but they do go after a ton of people. Lauren Murray gets bullied every single day online, and simply because she objected to having her revenge porn shared by Kate Peter. You have all of these people that are out there, and they literally are, if they think you're weaker than them, they're usually wrong. But if they think you're weaker than them, they're coming for you. And you can be sure that if I see it, I'm coming for them.
Yes. In my very first days, I was hesitant to say to use my voice, my tendency to being a voice of the people, just to speak out about the things I was outraged by in the Karen Reid trial in the very first couple of days. I was familiar with the case and had my leanings towards suspicious, framed, dodgy. But I within a day or two, I decided to use first time ever to use my Twitter account to actually say what I thought. And literally, it was Yellow, it was Plevin, it was Braden Carney, Masshole Mafia, okay, Peter, Ellie Mae, all the usual suspects, whoa, on me. And I was horrified, and it was so vile, vulgar, revolting, like misogynistic, like disgusting bullshit. Nothing about what I was saying. A little bit. I think Plevin might have tried to change my opinion on things, but mostly it was just personal attacks. So I muted and blocked a lot. But since then, anytime I've kind of had, and I haven't been doing much tweeting of late, but I guess in the sort of the few months of the trial and afterwards, any trolls that would come at me and with their stupid bullshit, I usually used to say something along the lines of, like, sit down, your desperation is showing, or like, go back under the bridge from whence you crawled. And they never came back at me ever again. Like, I didn't have to mute or block. It's like they kind of just smack it out of them with one fell swoop. But I wasn't being, I'm just a chick in Australia saying my things. Like, it's
but it really is. But when we go back to the first part of our conversation where we talked about Hailey's kind of attitude when she came out, that it's intentional, because I do want people to know. And it was the same thing. I'm not going to lie. I had a conversation when I was being doxxed. I knew, because they did a couple of things ahead of time to make sure that I knew. They wanted to be able to enjoy the fact that they thought they were tormenting me over the day of finding out that I was being doxxed. And I had a conversation with Aiden Carney, and when I had the conversation with him, he said, well, you could deny it. Like, you could just deny it. Like, they don't really have any proof of who you are or whatever else. And he said, so you could just own it and come out. And when he said that, I just said to myself, you know what? Like, it's time. It just was time for me. Like, so once I knew that, and they did it in the worst way. Kate Peter took a post from my Facebook page that was commemorating a friend that I had that died. And she copied it word for word and took the picture, but without naming me. And she just posted it as if it were her post. So it was a picture of me and my friend that died. It's still up, I'm sure. And she copied my post word for word. Little did she know, my friend that died, although we were 100% different politically and everything else, was actually a source for Turtle Boy and a couple stories. So there was this connection that she didn't even know about, and was someone that we were polar opposites, but that would talk to me every day while I was in the hospital with cancer. When everyone else was asleep, this guy would call me. We'd talk on the phone for hours. And he was this outspoken independent journalist. He would go after people, kind of like Turtle Boy. Everybody, he went after politicians, and everybody he had sources everywhere. And I kind of said to myself when he died, like, I'm going to continue to do what you do. Like, you've sought this justice, and I'm going to carry that on. So she has no idea that when she picked that post and the picture of me and that guy to put it up, my first thought was, oh my God, he would love this. He would find this to be the funniest thing that ever happened. And second of all, he would hate her, and he would be the first one to stand up and oppose her. So you didn't dox me. You didn't hurt me. You unleashed me. You literally you reminded me of why I do this, like with your thing. So when I knew that was coming, I didn't have there was no choice in my head. The choice was made that I was coming out. I was coming out, and I was going to show everybody that the way to do that is to come out swinging. You don't come out. The only reason they attack people the way that they do is they want you to shut up and go away. They think that their attack is going to work. And my focus on effectiveness, I don't want them to think they're effective. So, and honestly, since they've done it, again, my life has gotten busier. I've gotten more opportunities that have come in front of me, both in person, work-wise, and everything else. So you're never going to get me. So to all the people out there that the trolls are attacking you, stand up to them And if someone's coming at you, DM me. Get it. If you can't DM me because I don't follow you or whatever else, talk to Shorty, talk to someone else who knows me, hit me in a comment. I will follow you back because, like any other victim, I'm here to help you. And if the trolls are coming after you, I'll give it right back to them. So by all means, let's fight them together, but stand up and find your voice, because when we talk about women always apologizing, and we talk about these things, they attack women 10 times more than they attack men, and they do it because they think you're going to shut up. And I'm here to tell you that you have a voice and you don't have to shut up anymore. We want to hear what you have to say.
But before, when because you circle back to it, I'll bring it up. I am a serial sorry sayer. I find myself with messaging Adam and verbally talking as well, that I'll start a message off with sorry. I'm like, then trying to think of another way to phrase it, and then he'll say, you don't have to apologize. I'm like, I'm not actually apologizing. It's just like, I'm just so conditioned to be apologetic and trying to minimize myself and to take on some blame for, like, it's like, it's such a chick thing.
But the truth is you're a lion, you're not a sheep. And that's something that you need to know. Like, you need to know that your voice is powerful. And a lot of people now know that about you, right? Because your voice is powerful. Yes. You're here, you speak up. You don't have a problem standing up, right? But for all the women out there who haven't quite found your voice yet, message me. I will gladly help you find your voice and stand up, and I'll stand up right next to you every single time, because to me, at the end of the day, something good can come out of all of this. And that is, like, we see people who are getting attacked, and instead of becoming the shrinking violet, they are becoming the lions that they're meant to be, the lionesses that they're meant to be in some cases. So by all means, like, this is a great teachable moment. It's a great opportunity for people to say, enough. You have no power over me anymore, and I'm going to stand up and do what I do.
And actually, while I think of it, with your advocacy and the people that reach out to you with experience with domestic violence and sexual assault, I'm fine for you to say those things here. I don't care about the few cents ad revenue that I might lose. In my Let's Talk series, along with the Neurodivergence, I have got a domestic violence episode. I have... I'm about to do a sexual assault and rape one. I'm only postponing it because I've got so many other streams that I want to cover. But so if you ever want to direct, but my chat community, I don't know whether you can tell today, but my chat community is such a beautiful, warm, kind, inclusive space where quite often, I don't know if you've been seeing, like Sweetie Brookshire was just saying that she had a nephew who was bullied so badly that he took his own life in February. And my shorties, we rally around. It's such a warm, inclusive place. And also my Discord server is like that also. So if you ever want to send or direct anybody who contacts you who's looking for a warm, accepting, supportive, loving, we see, we hear, we listen, and we encircle with love, this is definitely the place for those people.
You know, I'm really, really glad that you said that to me, because not only will I send people over in this direction, but one of kind of my missions, as we look at what I'm doing going forward, one of my missions is, I told you I get 3 to 5 stories a day, and the stories that I hear are often horrific, really, really horrific. And I do my best to help those people, but I also have a lot of stories that are, you know, people have been carrying things with them for 30 years, and maybe they weren't as horrific as some of the, you know, familial sexual assaults or other things that I'm hearing about. People who got, I talk to people who got shot in the head by their significant other. I talk to people that, like, these are really serious and deep and dark things that we see. And so I like the fact that there's a community out there, because I can't help everybody, and people come to me with the worst things, and I try to help them in that order, right? So if someone has immediate need and they're immediately in a situation, I won't say I won't get into all the things that I do, but I can help people in real time, in real situations, or find them resources, or do whatever I can do. I always need help, because there are so many people, I can't help them all. So to the idea of this kind of a community where people can go, and sometimes it's literally people that had something 30 years ago that they've been carrying with them, and there's never going to be a criminal prosecution. There's never going to be any of these things. They just need someone to talk to.
Absolutely.
So
Well,
I love that.
everything I speak about in my Let's Talk series are things that have lived experience with and have come through the darkness. And I've got a very long list yet to come with streams. It's just I'm time poor, so I don't just opine on stuff and claim to know things. If I haven't lived it and I haven't worked through it, I won't speak on it. So you can rest assured that that this is a place where I'm coming from lived experience and where it's such a kind, beautiful community. So I'll send you offline. I'll see if Adam can make me an infinite link to my Discord server, because that's a beautiful place. I'm really proud of my Discord server, so that if you have anybody that wants a place to talk with loving, supportive people, well, you can give them that link if they feel up to joining that. So.
Well, I can tell you right now, I'm going to join it. So
yay! I was going to send you an invite. It's cool. It's a fun place. We have fun stuff. We do counting, Jason. It's a whole thing. Just successive numbers, take turns. I can't explain how good it is. But also, and I do like trial watching. But then if like it's a really beautiful space. I think almost everybody here in this chat can attest to what a lovely, supportive place it is. So yes, I will send you a link also. Emily, we'll put a link in the chat for you. Emily wants the link. Yes, the Discord.
Adam, I saw your request there. And yes, we'll be friends. I love that.
He's a good boy. Oh, sorry, good man. Sorry, Adam, you're a boy. You're a man. You're a real man. You're a real boy. And thank you, Michelle Smith, for gifting 5 Shorty memberships. That's awesome. So, Jason, is there anything that you would like to say before we wrap it up? Because I don't want to keep you too long, unless you want to keep going.
I'm fine either way. I do want to, before I get off, I do want to mention I'm going to be on Calling All Beings on Sunday for our roundtable, where we're going back and we will be talking about topics about the Karen Read trial and kind of all of its surrounding things. And I do have some other upcoming appearances. I was supposed to do a space this Wednesday with Lacey Jane, and she was sick, so we were unable to do it, but we're going to pick that up in the next 2 weeks sometime. And I have some other appearances that I'm in the works of scheduling that I'm not going to quite announce yet, but I am out there. Please follow me on Twitter at HW on your case. If someone wants to throw that into the chat, that's great.
It's been going in the chat. Yep. Definitely.
Perfect. I love that. And by all means, like, get my attention and say, hey, you talked to me here, or I saw you in Miss Shorty stream, and I'll follow you back. And I just want to reiterate that if you need help, I'm available. Maybe I can just listen, or I can find you resources in your area, and maybe I can directly help you. But by all means, I want people to know that I am someone that you can talk to and that you can reach out to. And if you don't want to talk to a male, I can find you a female, maybe even Miss Shorty, or I can find you someone who can make you more comfortable. I can probably find you someone who has experienced something similar to what you've experienced, even though you may feel like you're the only one. There's a lot of people out there. And that's what I've come to know. That's what I've come to know from my 80% female fans, that there's a lot of people out there who have experiences, and some of them maybe just like yours. So if you're really looking for help or someone to talk to or whatever else, please let me know. I'm happy to help.
Thank you. I started this earlier, much earlier, but 13 Kings said, I'm realizing right now that other people feel the same way I do. And that's the whole point of these Let's Talk things and my chats, is that so often people are out in the cold, whether they're undiagnosed neurodivergent, whether it's sexual assault, whether they're experiencing bullying or any of the things, to know that there are people out there who have lived through it, are living through it, have thoughts in it, are there to be with you in those moments, is such an important, powerful thing.
13 Kings is a great follow on Twitter too. I love that account.
Yes.
And I guess just get back to neurodivergence for a minute. I have a tweet. I have to find it, and I don't want this to be insulting to any of you, but I basically said to all the freaks and the recovering drug addicts and all of these people who are out here, where every day someone's using your status in one way or another to come at you, like, you're my people. Like, I want different people, as I said earlier. So if you're neurodivergent, if you're a recovering addict,
yes,
if you're
both.
if you're still an addict and you need help getting into recovery, if
I
you're
wish.
if you're gay and you're having trouble accepting your sexuality, if you're any one of these isms that they try and throw on you, or you're any one of these things where people are using that to judge you, you're my people. Like, follow me on Twitter. Feel free to talk to me. I want to be out there, but there are more of us than there are of them.
Absolutely.
And a lot of them pretend that they're better than you and that you're somehow less than or any of those things. None of that's true.
No, that's more of a reflection. That's a reflection on how they feel about themselves, not how you are as a person, always.
It's right. Now, I won't say all of you because I don't know you all, but most of you are beautiful human beings out there who are unique in your own way. And those are the things that make you special. And they're the things that make you interesting. And those are, and I want to get to know as many of you as I can. So.
Amazing. Actually, while we're talking about stuff coming up, I've got a lot of streams over the next few days, but I think it might be important to mention that next Friday night in this same time slot, 7, oh no, not the same time slot, it's now 7, it was going to be 7, it'll be 7 Eastern next Friday night. I'll be speaking with Jen Root and Beatrice, so Justin Root's sister, Jen, and Beatrice, who's her friend and an advocate. So that will be a really important, interesting, probably heartbreaking and also inspiring conversation. So I'm really looking forward to that. So
I'll definitely be in your chat that day, because I can tell you that I'm actually glad you brought it up, and I'm actually ashamed that I didn't bring it up because I was on there. I was in their stream when they did it on Calling All Beings the other day.
Yes. I haven't watched it yet, but yes.
Jen is amazing. I just said she reminds me of my own sister. But aside from that, like, she's the sister that everybody would want to have. Like, for her to come out, and she just does such an amazing job of capturing his story, and not just what happened to him, but like his story, like who Justin was.
Yes, the important stuff.
Yes, and that is, I guess that just fits so nicely in what we were just talking about, in the sense that he is somebody who literally was an amazing person. He loved music. He had all of these things about him, and he was mentally ill. And so many people have looked at his case, and I know people who have done this, where I have a lot of friends in law enforcement and everything else, and so many people looked at his case and said, "Oh yeah, but he had a paintball gun. It was a good shoot." And like, actually, if you start to look into his case a little bit more, there's all these discrepancies and all of these things where it didn't have to go the way that it did. And there's corruption involved in that investigation from the same people that we have corruption involved in the Sandra Birchmore case, from the same people that we have corruption involved in the Karen Reed case, and the same people that we have corruption involved in Turtle Boy's case. When we look at this, in every one of those cases, what they have in common, I'm sorry to switch into true crime for a minute. Every one of those cases, what they have in common is they all involve a police officer who is in potential legal jeopardy. And the investigations into those cases are 180 degrees opposed to the investigations that those same cops did on every other case that they worked. So it really is like that. To me, that's a passion project for me going forward, that Justin Root case. I'm very, I will be going on November 13th. There's a standout for Sandra Birchmore, Justin Root, Enrique Delgado Garcia, and Karen Reed, and that will be in Dedham at the Dedham Superior Court on November 13th. And I announced on their stream, and I'll say it here, I'm going in person. So if anybody in the audience is here in the United States and in the Northeast and you want to meet me, please come up, tell me that you saw me on this stream and say hello to me. I'd love to meet you. But I have to lend my support to that cause, because I feel a kinship with them because of the stigma of mental illness led to Justin's case not being treated like it should have been. It has never been investigated properly. And that's one I feel very passionate about.
Well, there you go. Yeah, because Beatrice and I have been communicating via email, and I just thought that she was a viewer, a subscriber. I didn't realize her involvement, and she mentioned that she was going on Calling All Beings and with Jen Root, and I was like, oh, I would love to talk to you both. I don't want to, just important. So I'm really looking forward to that.
It took everything I could not to ask for them to send me a link, like, because I really want to get in that. But I've talked to Jen.
Maybe you could come on our show. Maybe you could come on our show.
check with them, even if you want to only have me on for a segment or whatever, because I would love to talk to them and I would love to talk about that case because it's
Yes.
very important to
Yes.
me.
Let's do it.
Um,
Let's do it.
So yeah, so just let me know because I will
will.
tell you right now, I'll make myself available for that as an opportunity because that case means something to me.
Okay.
And
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
I've been talking to Jen and Marie as well, who's an advocate with them for quite a long time, and I have a lot of information on that case, some of which is I would never publish, but it's something that that's near and dear to my heart, that particular case.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, amazing. Well, I think that'd make for a really like a really powerful round table. Not a round table, you know what I mean, and a powerful panel. So yeah, let's do it because I will be just the conduit, the host to it, the facilitator for you guys to have the conversations because I'm not super well versed on any of that, on Justin Root's any of it. I'm still doing my research now, so I will just be the platform, and you guys can do the speaking and the raising the awareness.
That's great.
Absolutely. Yeah, beautiful. Okay. Well, Adam just said, Jason, you are the man. Yes.
Thanks,
Formerly
Adam.
the woman.
Yeah, I know.
Formerly the woman.
I
He
am,
really
a man, but I
is.
would never be upset if you called me a woman. So.
Well, it's no insult, really. Actually, there was something else that someone just put in the comments that, okay, this, I think this is a nice way to round it off. Thank you, Jason. Between you and Miss Shorty, you're all the therapy I need. Blunt, honest, and hopeful. Long-time follower on X. That's beautiful.
I know. I love that. I'm always hopeful. So I love that came out. That's great.
My Facebook little byline on my Facebook, my Lisa, my personal Facebook profile is expect nothing but never lose hope.
I love that. It's great.
Always. All right. Well, thank you so much, Jason. I really appreciate your time and your insights and your good sense of humor with the little deluge of trolls we got all in a flurry.
The call went out.
Yeah, calling all trolls, not being.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I loved being here. I'm a longtime fan, so this is great. I was comfortable the minute that I got in, and I look forward to coming back.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Jason. Chat, everybody, give your thanks in the chat to Jason. I'll stick around to tell you a few more things, and I'll talk to you offline, Jason. Thank you so much.
Sounds great. Bye-bye.
Bye. Well, chat. Beautiful. Isn't Jason just the most amazing human? Man, woman, gay man, straight man. Trophies from Ernie Birdie. Yes, thank you, says Turd. Thank you, Jason. Emily says thank you. Jason and Lisa enjoyed the show. Beautiful. Ernie, thank you, Jason and Lisa. Hey, I've got a few more things I want to tell you guys about. Well, here, I've got a note. It just took me a long time to do this, and then I realized I had to put more times on there and stuff. So in about, an hour and a half, I'm just going to wait till the JFK and Sean on the Gulf stream has maybe wrapped up because it's, pushing the proverbial shit uphill to try and go up against that in terms of numbers. Not that I mind, but at 9 Eastern, so in an hour and a half or thereabouts, I'm going to do a Delphi a Delphi unpacked, a Delphi catch up. Hang on, earbuds coming out. It'll mute for a second. I know this. Wait, why didn't it mute? That's fine. Yay! Thank you, commenters. I really appreciate you. Even the trolls. We love everybody. We celebrate differences, even if they are trolls. Thank you so much, Jason. Hailey, not Hailey. Oh, no, it's on loop. Stop. It's on loop. You know what we say about that. Well, Turd, we have all learned things today. It's fantastic. It's been a really, really this evening. It's this evening for you guys. I'm just a 10:30 in the morning on a Saturday. I don't even know what day is it. Who am I? Okay, so at 9 Eastern, Delphi. I've been following the Abby Williams and Libby German, the Snapchat murders case for many years. I have very strong feelings, and I have a pretty in-depth understanding of both the circumstances of that those gruesome murders, the timelines, and also the legal wranglings that have gone on since the arrest of Richard Allen, and now his trial is in full flight. So if you would feel like it's too big a case for you to drop into watching, I don't know, Defense Diaries or Andrea Burkhart or any of those law tubers, I'm here to give you the cliff notes, and we can do a quick Q&A. We can bit of a hive mind thing. We'll get up to speed. So that's coming up this evening. Tomorrow evening at 6, just one stream tomorrow, 6 Eastern. It's Matt McCabe. We have to talk. We need to talk. Get it right, Lisa. Matt McCabe, we need to talk. We're going to review Matt McCabe's testimony. It's just one stream because I'm pretty sure it's quite a long one, and we love long streams here. So yay. Then on Sunday evening, oh my God, time differences. At 6, Colin Albert, we need to talk. Then at 9:30 Eastern on Sunday, toxic positivity. Fuck toxic positivity. Just me ranting and educating on how devastating the diminishing power of toxic positivity can be. Yeah, Emily, I'm brave. Let's fucking go, right? Come at me, bro. I have very strong feelings. I have a lot of knowledge. I have documents. I bring receipts. So Delphi, unpacked. Let's do it. Then on Monday night, this is Turd Ferguson. Thank you for suggesting this. Love. It's an epic endeavor on which to embark. We are going to start the Depp v. Heard trial. I've never watched it. Never have I ever watched Depp v. Heard. So let's start with day 1. So that's at 6 Eastern Monday night. Yeah, I've got 4 days off now. So I'm going to need all the super chats too, because I'm a casual employee, so I don't get paid on Monday and Tuesday when I'm not working. I'm joking. Keep your money, but bring yourselves, yeah? So, and then next weekend, as I said, Friday night, 7 o'clock, Justin Root discussion, shining the light on his life and his death with Jen Root and Beatrice. And now Jason Broyles. I'll just make sure it's okay with the ladies, but I'm sure it will be. And that should be an amazing one. And then other things coming up. So it's a big mega weekend of Camp Shorty. The other thing I want to tell you all about is that, I probably should have been more prepared for this. Hang on, wait. Pause. I'm a professional. Probably out of the way. Did you see my socks? They match. Anyway. So last year with the Shaming of Jay channel, Shannon, Jay's wife, suggested in her, I think it was in her Mindful Crime Couture channel, but don't quote me on it. She suggested that we do a month of mandalas as art therapy. Shannon is a registered therapist, a drama therapist, and a beautiful, beautiful soul. And I thought, sure. I don't know if you know what a mandala is, but they're those circular things that can be anything, whatever. Let me find a recent one, a good one. I mean, they're all right. Not that one. I'm a professional, y'all. Hang in there. Get with it. It's this one. I think this is my favorite. Oh, so this is a mandala, right? So it was for the month of December last year. And there was no obligation, but if you had a little notebook and you just could draw an outline of something circular and then just free form it. So mine have evolved. Anyway, we're going to do month of mandalas if you want. In my Discord server, I'll put a channel in there, and so starting from the 1st of December, get yourself a bunch of markers or pencils or crayons, whatever. This was my very first one. And then I took a little while to get my confidence with them. That was another one. I used just highlighters, whatever I had. Oh, there's a page I can use. And then they got better and better, I think, with practice. But I find when I'm having and I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed with life, and I just sit down with my texters and my pencils and do a mandala, it makes me feel much more soothed and calm. So if you would like, well, it's happening. Maybe it'll just be me doing mandalas. Come on in to my Discord. You don't have to do it every day. There's no obligation. Don't feel pressure. Don't feel like you have to. But if you want to be a part of the month of mandalas, let's do it. This is one I drew for Adam. I think this is probably my pride and joy. Pretty cool, huh? Yay. Yeah. Yeah, I love Vegemite. What's wrong with Vegemite? What are you guys going rogue in the chat? Listen, have I got things to play here? We are professionals. Oh, we've got Adam and I doing some things. Wait, here. Do you want to hear some things? We've got new stuff.
Shit.
Totally got to be on time. Thank you, Adam. Yikes. Chat. And then when you all throw money at me.
I'll take any motherfucker's money if he giving it away.
Sadly, don't get to play that often. I'm joking. Anyway, month of mandalas from December. Put it in your brain, in your diaries, in your back of your mind. And if you would like to do some art therapy, we can do that. Yes. How, Steph? Toast. Yes, toast. Vegemite. It's like a dark, salty, extremely salty condiment spread, savory, to go on toast. You can use it in cooking. It's almost black in color. It's delicious. I fucking love it. Grift. Oh, my stomach's rumbling. We're talking about it. Yes, Trish Pomfrits, doodling and colouring is calming. So I'll keep talking about that month of mandalas as we get through November, because it's only November. Calm down. I just thought I'd sow the seed in your minds. Shorties, that makes me have to pee. What? Oh, the wine. Shit. Sorry about that. Shit. Wait.
Shit.
Not that one, though. Anyway. Why does it keep only playing half of them? Sorry, my brain, I've been so professional and focused for 2.5 hours. Now I'm just going rogue myself. Do we got any music requests? Turd. Wait, let me check chat. Turd, can I play the Plevin song? In cooking, go on. So you can use it like if you're making, like, I mean, not that I would ever make bolognese like every fortnight. And not that I would ever just only eat bolognese every night of my life. You can put in bolognese, Vegemite month. Yes. Oh, Cat Randall, late. I'm gonna, yes, Turd Ferguson, yes. Can I play the Plevin song? Is that okay? I don't want to be, can I play the Plevin song? Fortnite is not just a game. I don't play games. No game. Don't hate the player, hate the game. Did you speak of my language? Yes, gave me a Vegemite sandwich. Exactly. Yeah. How cool, right? Turd, let me see. Can I play it? Turd, tell me I can play it. Look at this. This is hanging up my professionalism, all of you. Lucky Jason's not still here. I mean, he might be. He's like, fuck. Please play the Plevin song. We've had a few internal fractious moments about the Plevin song, mostly because of me. My come at me bro attitude, my let's fucking go game on attitude isn't necessarily everybody's attitude. My hey, let's make this amazing. Let's make this big. You are me. Let's lift everybody up. Let's. Sometimes I need to take a fucking chill pill, right? And I didn't. So my excitement to capture the moment of all the shit that was going down with Plevin in the last week or so, and knowing that there was a song already made thanks to Turd Ferguson, a banger, standard turd banger, never any question, and that my guy Adam Drives Helen was in the process of putting together a phenomenal video to go with it. I kind of railroaded them both, and I probably didn't communicate or check in with Turd before I did that. So I guess publicly I probably should apologize, because I've apologized to Turd privately. So I'm sorry for assuming that my vision and my goals and what I want for you guys was necessarily what you all want for you guys. No, Post and Ghost. Turd Ferguson is not a wimp. Hush now. And anyway, can I play the fucking Plevin song, Turd? Let me, but I won't do it. And also, Adam messaged you. I don't know if you want us to take off those. And maybe Turd didn't even write this. It's just some random, like, I don't even know who wrote this song. It's all right. Thanks, Reese. Thanks. Anyway, Sean's entry song. Well, I feel like it's the same song, Reese. Turd is far from a wimp. Turd has beef. Play Plevin. Oh, you only have to ask me once. Here we go, Reese. This is it's the full video, the full song in all its glory. I'm not going anywhere. I'll come straight back because we'll debrief after this. Love all you guys. And I'm sorry, Turd. I should have shown more respect, and I didn't, and I'm sorry.
Up in an attic, he likes to crawl. Always home with a dick so small. He's full of shit and upside down, full of lies, spin stories around. Oakland and Flavin, he's a pervert. In that attic, taking off his shirt. Yellow cottage with a dick so tiny, spreading lies and being whiny. Never gives up on his theory, peeking through the yellow curtain, a heart of ice, wrong but certain. Oakland and Flavin, he's a pervert. In that attic, taking off his shirt. Yellow cottage with a dick so tiny, spreading lies and being whiny. He likes to crawl, always wrong with a dick so small. He's full of shit and upside down, full of lies, spin stories around. Oakland and Flavin, he's a pervert. In that attic, taking off his shirt. Yellow cottage with a dick so tiny, spreading lies and being whiny. Dreary, never gives up on his theory, peeking through the yellow curtain, a heart of ice, wrong but certain. Oakland and Flavin, he's a pervert. In that attic, taking off your shirt. Yellow cottage with a dick so tiny, spreading lies and being whiny.
Oh my God. I'm sorry, I'm just dropping the Discord link. How good. So good. So good. If you want to join my Discord after we've been speaking about it, I'm just dropping it in now in the chat. So come on in. Oh yeah, vape break. I'll vape break. I'll vape everywhere. Ernie, I don't fuck. I think it's only fair. Like I caused my actions, my bull in a china shop, bombastic excitement, exuberance, hurt, turd. And I hate that. I hate that I didn't communicate properly with her. I also made Adam feel a little bit uncomfortable about asking him to create that video to go with the song. And I don't feel good about that. So I'm going to apologize, because privately I have apologized to both of them, but it was public. Maybe, yeah, a little bit, my actions, my assumptions caused people who I love very much to feel uncomfortable and distressed and stressed and upset. I didn't mean to do that. So of course I'm going to apologize. It doesn't matter what I meant. It doesn't, my intentions don't matter. Rewind, strike that. Yes, we are good. I'm good. Yes, exactly. But I wanted to say sorry publicly to it. So yes. As Adam says, how can anyone be with cute dancing rats? I mean, rats and cute in the same sentence, even with that adjoining word of dancing. I don't know, rats are bad. All right, I'm going to go and have something to eat. All of my songs are written by Turd Ferguson. Turd is taking the YouTube world by storm. One phenomenal banger, AI generated, but it's not just she doesn't just put out a song. She goes through hundreds of songs to find the one that best represents the whole vision of that, whether it's a social commentary, that ode to apathy song we played at the beginning, fucking love it. Whether it's a creator's song, she's so very clever and talented. Adam does all my videos and he's helping me with other things, my sound effects. I got you, Adam. I understood. So give them a subscribe. It's frustrating to me that they don't have more subscribers than me, because I'm just a chick talking and saying stupid shit. You two are the talent here. So yes, let's be back in an hour, just over an hour. Love your faces. The end. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate you all so very much, Shorties. Such a beautiful community we've created here, and I'm very proud of it. I'm very proud of you, and I'm proud of me too. Hell yeah, toot your own horn. Nobody else will. See you in a bit, Shorties. Love your fucking faces.
Our brother, hipster, van dweller, the land pirate radio host, hangs by the Oregon coast. Lisa, our sister, survivor and warrior. Miss Shorty shows care and concern, broadcasting out of Melbourne. They've been streaming for a while, and they know they make us smile. He knew love from 8,000 miles away. 13,000 kilometers, never got it away. Half the world apart, but united in the heart. Both are uniquely complex, bravely seeking what's next. It would be an easier goal to maintain the status quo, but sincere in their beliefs, for us to find our love and peace. They've been streaming for a while, and they know they make us smile. 13,000 kilometers never gotten away, half a world apart, but united in the heart. Both are uniquely complex, bravely seeking what's next.